It was on this day, October the 30th, back in 1982, that Men at Work took that song to number one on the U.S. singles chart. Who can it be now? Knocking on your door? Hey, Dodgers, that's a Blue Jay. Oh, and it's a very angry Blue Jay. I feel as though this should be the Trey Savage show today. What a night. What a team. One win away from a World Series title. As we get things underway on the show today, I would just like to once again send my sincere thanks to our regular listener and sometimes caller, Joe, who since the beginning of the playoffs has been complaining and kvetching about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and how he is overpaid and under-talented. What a waste of money Vlad Guerrero Jr. was, says Joe. Hey, Joe, this one's for you this morning, pal.
And the 0-1. Vladdy rocks the ball. Left field and deep. Back to the wall. It is gone again. Back-to-back blasts in the first. And in 3 pitches, the Blue Jays lead 2-0. What in the world are we watching right now?
What you're watching and hearing is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hitting his 8th home run of these playoffs, which is more than any other Blue Jay has hit in the playoffs ever. And it was more when he hit his 7th. Now he's hit his 8th. Vlad Guerrero Jr. is rewriting the Blue Jays franchise record books. Just out of curiosity, is that good? Hey, Joe, is that good, what Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is doing? I want to thank you for being here and being a part of the show. I know the 9 a.m.ers, you 9 a.m.ers, you're such beauties. You're always here right when we get started. So many of you stick around for the entire day. And I made an appeal yesterday, and it's incredible to me. And I should just stop being surprised by it, because this is how you roll. When I present you with a task, you come through with flying colors. But I made an appeal yesterday because Farwell's force was getting close to a milestone number, kind of like the Blue Jays, right? And the milestone of winning the World Series. But we were getting pretty close to a milestone number. And this all started just as a joke. Basically, since day one on this show, I've made flippant little remarks about the number of listeners. Oh, yeah, me and my 38 listeners. And every once in a while, we'd creep that number up because you're paying close attention. You're like, I'm listener number 39. And so we crept up into the 40s. And then I met Andrew one day back in the summer at the Scotland's Yard ball hockey tournament for the Waterloo Regional Health Network Foundation. And he said, I'm number 46, because that's the number we had jokingly reached. He says, I want to be number 46. So I said, Andrew, I'd be more than happy to make you number 46. Thanks for being a listener to the show. We had a nice little chat. We went on with our days, but this was the weekend, and I got to thinking, it'd be fun. Let's just see if we could actually put 46 numbers together and give you, as a listener of this show, an official number, a listener number. And so I thought if we could fill up those 46 names in the first week back from that weekend in July, that would be great. Well, we smashed right through it on the first day, and next thing you know, this thing gathers its own momentum. And when we got close to that milestone number, I asked you yesterday, hey, can you help me? Or was it Tuesday? So my days are all blurring together. I'm sorry. But I asked you earlier this week. I think it was Tuesday. Anyway, so can you help me get to 200? Would you do that for me? Could we get to 200? Because we were approaching that milestone. And lo and behold, we smashed right through, now approaching 210 members of what we call Farwell's Force. We are a force for good. We are a force for change. We are a force to be reckoned with. And Nige, who emailed to be a part of that climb to 200, sends me an email this morning to Mike at 570news.com. What a game 5. Farwell's Force number 198 reporting for duty. My radio is on at 9 a.m. Nige, you're a beauty. And so are the other 207 or so of your closest friends who are members today, officially, of Farwell's force. We're going to find a way to make this more rewarding than just a number, but your loyalty and your listenership is absolutely appreciated. We've been having a blast with this. Almost as much fun as we've been having watching those Blue Jays do those Blue Jay things. Speaking of Farwell's force, official member number 45, our buddy Preston Paul. Good morning.
Good morning, Mike. How about them Blue Jays?
Come on, Paulie. Come on. What is happening? Is this really happening?
I got goosebumps. I can't even put my coat on. The goosebumps are so big. Oh, it's just a great, great game. Stick it to those Dodgers. Oh, I loved it.
The Blue Jays did just come out, and they must annoy the Dodgers so much. Single, 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 single. Work account, work account, work account. It's an amazing... And then the defense. Oh, my gosh, with the defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was unbelievable. And the pitching Trey just lit it up last night.
He sure did.
I just hope we take it down on Friday night.
I'm with you, Paul. I'm with you, buddy.
You have a great day, Mike.
Thank you, my friend. You too. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
That's our friend Preston Paul, an official Farwell's Force member. He's at number 45. Want to give a quick shout-out to the folks at Habitat for Humanity, Waterloo Region. They held their annual big house party last night. It was the 4th annual. I've had the pleasure and privilege of being a part of this since year number 1. And who would have thought when they scheduled this annual event for this year that they'd be competing with a World Series Blue Jays game, no less. If it was just the World Series, it wouldn't be quite as impactful on attendance and whatnot. But it was against the Blue Jays World Series game. And the attendance was great last night at the museum in downtown Kitchener. People showed up in great numbers. Home Depot stepped up as a matching sponsor this year, and they raised a good amount of money at the event last night, which was pretty cool to see. There's a lot of energy in the community from home builders, from the folks behind the Build Now, our Grand Valley Construction Association, a lot of energy around affordable, attainable housing in this community. And the attendance last night, despite it being a World Series game for the Blue Jays, spoke to that particularly. And I want to specifically recognize Cambridge City Councillors Corey Kimpson and Sherry Roberts, who joined an event in downtown Kitchener from Cambridge, but there's a new Habitat for Humanity build in progress right now on Shantz Hill. This is a community-wide, region-wide effort and initiative. And to see that, I do believe in all of the years of this event, I could be mistaken, but I don't think so. I think this is the first time we've had presence at the event from councillors in Cambridge. And I just think that speaks to the all-for-one approach region-wide, from the townships into the cores of our cities, to get this affordable and attainable housing done. And good on the folks at Habitat for Humanity as well for having the Blue Jays game on the big screen at the museum so we could enjoy our night, we could raise some money, and we could keep our eyes on the Blue Jays as well. Let's quickly get to one more call before your Farwell Show 5. Gary is on the phone. Good morning, Gary.
Hey, buddy, how are you?
Oh, hey, this is Gary number 41.
That's right, buddy.
All right. Usually they put that on the screen for me, but now I know. Okay.
Listen.
What?
Man, I just... You sound like you're going to be you're having a good morning and a little bit more cheerful and not needing any hugs today.
Listen, I need a hug every day, pal. I will always accept one. Okay.
But man, watching those Blue Jays, like just the Dodgers and the coach and all that shaking their head, like what is going on here?
Who are these guys?
Best team ever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be any more proud of the Blue Jays, and man, they are just all over the Dodgers, and these late nights are worth it, and, feeling groggy in the morning, but man, I cannot wait, and I'm so glad it's coming home for Friday and the next 2 games. It's going to be beautiful.
It sure is, Gary. Great to hear from you this morning, and I agree, the late nights are worth it, but I don't think I'm alone in that every day just seems like another day. It's just baseball day again, and we're enjoying it because the Blue Jays are winning more than they're losing. But it is, I've got a fog in front of my eyes. I'm sure you have the same, but it is absolutely worth it. And now here's the thing. As great as this has been, and as exciting as it is, we got to get it done now, right? We got to get that next win. You don't come all this way to come up just short, but of course this team's going to get the next win. Oh, they've been terrific. So much fun to watch.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10,
all right, let's get to that Farwell Show 5 for this Thursday morning, the 30th of October. Number one, yes, it is true that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. extended his franchise record home run total in the playoffs to 8, and Davis Schneider hit a home run on the first pitch of the game just before Vladdy hit his last night. And the Blue Jays are one win away from a World Series championship, but last night belonged to 22-year-old Trey Yesavage.
2-2. Swing and a miss. Kept going to that splitter until finally Freeman was out in front of it. 22-year-old's 1-2. Make it 35 in the postseason. Strikes out Betts on his splitter. Kirk makes the call. The wind from Yesavage and the 1-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. There's the slider, and he punches out Hernandez. The wind and the 2-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Ohtani loses his helmet on this splitter. 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. A dozen Ks for Yesavage.
That is a World Series record for the most strikeouts ever by a rookie pitcher. And that was only 5 of them on the highlights. He had 12. Game 6 tomorrow in Toronto, but you knew that already. Number 2 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning. The report is ready, and it recommends extending light rail into Cambridge. Regional staff citing a survey of 2,500 people, half of whom were from Cambridge, who say trains are the way to go for Phase 2 of rapid transit. The report comes to a regional committee next Tuesday, and a long list of delegates are registered to speak, including Cambridge councillor Sherry Roberts, who supports LRT. Cambridge councillor Helen Schwery says she's hearing from people who do not want us to lay down more tracks. Councillor Schwery joins our show this morning at 11. Number 3, the head of Stellantis says the decision to move Jeep Compass production from Ontario to Illinois was not taken lightly. The Brampton plant, which has been down since early 2024, to prepare for the new production line, had about 3,000 employees before it closed. Stellantis President Jeff Hines says the company is exploring options to get laid-off workers back on the job. Number 4, people across the northern Caribbean are digging out from the destruction caused by Hurricane Melissa. As deaths from the storm climb, emergency relief flights have begun landing at Jamaica's main international airport today, as crews work to reach communities still isolated after they were directly hit by the Category 5 storm. And number 5 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, Restaurant Brands International made a third quarter profit of $315 million U.S. That's up from $252 million a year ago. Revenue for the quarter at Restaurant Brands International rose to $2.45 billion. Who cares about Restaurant Brands International, right? Well, that just so happens to be the conglomerate that is behind Tim Hortons, where it saw some strength in the Tim Hortons operations in the past quarter. We do love our Tims, and Restaurant Brands International loves that we love our Tims. And that is your Farwell Show 5 for this Thursday morning. So I got a question for you, and this literally occurred to me like half an hour ago when I heard our morning sports reporter, Simon Bennett, talking about Game 6, Blue Jays Dodgers tomorrow in Toronto as the World Series comes back to Canadian soil. And Simon Bennett said he had just done a quick look on StubHub this morning and saw that the cheapest ticket for tomorrow night's game is $2,300, and that is for standing room. And so my beloved and I were talking about this last night because a friend of ours, we saw when World Series tickets went on sale about a week ago, and we know all of the fuss that's gone on with the Ticketmaster model and this and that. This is not about that. When the tickets went on sale, and I haven't talked to this friend of ours, but he posted on social media, so I'm just going to try to connect some dots here. It's my guess that either games 1 and 2 sold out so quickly that he didn't have another choice, or he wisely thought to himself, everybody's going after tickets for games 1 and 2. I'm going to go after tickets for games 6 and 7. And so he posted on social media the day the tickets went on sale last week, please let there be a game 6. Please let there be a game 6. And posted a screenshot of his successful ticket purchase. It didn't have the price. But given that he bought the tickets the day they went on sale, I'm going to assume here that he got the tickets at face value because games 1 and 2 went in a hurry. Game 6 was still available, and he got tickets. But I'm thinking to myself, okay, like last night, my beloved and I are talking, and I haven't talked to this fella. We're reflecting on how lucky he is because he got those tickets. He picked up game 6 when everybody else was going after game 1 and 2, I guess. Please let there be a game 6, and there is. How lucky is he tomorrow night that he's going to be at the Rogers Center to see a potential World Series clinching game? But then I hear Simon's story this morning. $2,300 for standing room. So if you've got an actual seat in the building, what are we talking about here? $2,500? $3,000? More? Times 2 tickets? Like, that's several mortgage payments. That's pretty decent money. So I'm going to put the question to you because I'm asking myself the question. If I'm my buddy and I've got a couple of seats for tomorrow night's game 6 and I paid a couple to a few $100 for them at face value, would you sell them and just maybe buy yourself a new TV and recliner to watch the game in? I don't know. Would you keep the tickets and go to game 6? Or would you sell them for a minimum of $2,300 each? As always, I ask, what would you do? And I'd be interested in the answer. Do you go to game 6 with the tickets you got last week? Or do you sell them because they're now worth several mortgage payments for your home? Tell me your thoughts on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. So let's just say that you have tickets to tomorrow night's Blue Jays game in Toronto. And you got those tickets when they first went on sale a week ago. While everybody else was buying tickets for games 1 and 2, you took a chance on buying tickets for games 6 or 7, if necessary, in Toronto. And you landed a pair of tickets for game 6. And, of course, Game 6 is now necessary. Not only is Game 6 in Toronto tomorrow necessary, but it could be the game during which the Blue Jays win the World Series. Think back to 1993, Joe Carter's home run, Game 6 versus Philadelphia. Same thing could happen tomorrow night, and you have tickets. But those tickets, according to our morning sports reporter, Simon Bennett, a little earlier, are now worth at least, he checked StubHub and found standing room tickets at the Rogers Center for tomorrow at $2,300 each. So you're sitting on $5,000 easy, maybe more. And I know we've been talking about Ticketmaster and frustrations with Ticketmaster, and that's fine. But I just want you to put yourself in the position of a friend of ours who posted on social media last week that he had gotten tickets for Game 6, and his post was just saying, please let there be a Game 6. Please let there be a Game 6, because he had secured those tickets. And now I'm just asking myself, well, what do you do? Do you go to the game? Because, of course, the Blue Jays could win the World Series, and you could be there to witness it. Or do you sell the tickets for like $5,000 or even more? That is not an insignificant amount of money. And as much as I'm thinking, I mean, to be there, imagine being inside Rogers Center when the Blue Jays win. On the other hand, imagine being inside Rogers Center when the Blue Jays win. Like, you might as well just book a hotel because you're not getting home until Saturday morning. And maybe that's okay because you watched the Blue Jays win a World Series in person, live, and years later, when far more than 40,000 people say, I was at that game, you will actually have been at the game. But because the money is so significant, I'm thinking, do Do you just sell and put some nice money into your bank account? What would you do? Would you go to the game or would you sell the tickets? 519-570-2545. Star 570 and 1-800-570-5715. Believe it or not, a completely different friend sent me a message that I only saw during the commercial break that just finished. And he also has tickets for tomorrow's game. He says, I need the help of your listeners. My options are the following. 1, sell them. 2, hire someone to give out candy. 3, book a hotel for $1,000 and party with the fans after the win. 4, get a parking spot 20 minutes from the stadium so I can leave after the game. I hate the first world problems. Those are definitely first world problems. Speaking of booking a hotel for $1,000, I was thinking that if there's a game 7, I know we don't want a game 7, but work with me here because, as you know, game 6 tomorrow, I have a bit of a conflict, Blue Jays. You know, I've got this team called the Kitchener Rangers for which I broadcast their games, and they have a game tomorrow night. I will miss virtually the entirety of Game 6. I'm still with you, Blue Jays. I hope you win. I'll be keeping up to date with the score while I'm at the Memorial Auditorium for the Rangers game. But oh my goodness, what a conflict. If there were to be a Game 7, though, it would work out pretty well because I'm in Brampton for a game on Saturday afternoon starting at 4 o'clock. Should be finished around 7. Go from Brampton into downtown Toronto, could easily be there for the game. So I looked up just for fun, the Skydome Hotel, or whatever they call it now, the hotel that's at the Rogers Centre with a field view. And I thought, you know what? I mean, this is a once-in-a-lifetime kind of opportunity. Maybe my beloved and I could splurge. $9,500 for the night. Let me tell you, splurging for this cheap guy, I don't think it goes quite as high as $9,500 for a night if they win. And see, this is the other thing about my friend with the tickets. Got them when they went on sale last week. He could be there or he could sell them for thousands of dollars. Like, you have to ask yourself, what if, right? Because if they don't win, how bummed are you going to be? And then you'll be making that miserable drive home from Toronto knowing that you could have had $5,000 instead of going to the game and watching them lose. But we're going to keep the faith. I really think the Jays are going to do it tomorrow night. I really do. And, of course, you'll hear the game right here on 570 News. Oh, wait, no, you won't hear the game tomorrow night. You're going to hear Kitchener Rangers hockey tomorrow night on 570 News Radio. But we'll keep you up to date on the score. I promise you that. An update from the 570 News Center on the way right now. And then fixed election dates in Ontario. We don't need them? Let's talk about it. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
This is where today's topics turn into today's talking points. It's local and it's Democratic radio at its finest. This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio.
Well, they've been doing this for years. You know, the federal government, prior to the Liberals, they had an open election. You know, just because the Liberals, the last government that messed up our province, decided to do this, doesn't mean it has to be done just because they put it in. We're going to move forward and call an election when the time is appropriate. As far as I was concerned, this is a fake law put in by the Liberal government.
The Mike Farwell Show continues
on 570 News Radio.
That is Ontario Premier Doug Ford responding to reporters' questions in defense of a proposal that would see the elimination of fixed election dates. This was something brought in by the previous Liberal government under then Premier Dalton McGuinty. And as you heard Premier Ford say just now, as far as he's concerned, this is a fake law brought in by a previous provincial government. Peter Wollstonecroft is a professor emeritus political science from the University of Waterloo, joins us this morning to talk about it. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning. And first of all, I want to say that I'm overwhelmed with the Jays. One win from winning the World Series, and nobody saw that in April of this year.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And I've been thinking a lot about it, Peter. Hasn't it been a rather pleasant distraction from all of the other things like fixed election dates and federal budgets?
Absolutely. And also the madman to the south.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, and that's been very entertaining baseball and a fantastic story. So, yeah, go Jays, go.
Absolutely.
Now on to the rather drab stuff we have to talk about.
Indeed we do. But I'm with you on all counts when it comes to the Blue Jays. So the opposition is saying what you would expect the opposition to say, Peter, in response to the idea that fixed election dates be scrapped, calling it anti-democratic. What do you make of, removing the rules around fixed election dates so that the governing party can call the election, I would suppose, whenever it's most opportune for them?
And indeed, that was one of the complaints, and there are many instances where it's to the advantage of the government to call an election. The opposition parties are in some kind of disarray, may have a new leader, all that kind of stuff. And so for partisan advantage, an election was called, and the poor citizens are stuck with not much of a decision because the opposition parties are, as I say, disorganized and not ready for an election. And the government could call an election when it wanted to, and the opposition parties have no say in that. But, it was a pretty empty law, and maybe this is what Doug Ford is talking about, because you can't have one parliament bind another, so there was a way to get around it, and governments have found a way to get around the requirement to have a fixed election term. The Attorney General says, well, it's an American idea. Well, that doesn't help us very much. That's just a label. We should have a serious talk about the parliamentary system. And the real issue is the enormous power that rests in the hands of the Premier and the Premier's office, or the Prime Minister and the Prime Minister's office. And that's been the trend in all parliamentary systems since after World War II, since the 50s certainly. The accumulation of power in the hands of a few, some not elected, some elected, but and everything in the contemporary time focuses on Doug Ford. We'd be hard pressed to name cabinet ministers in the Ford government. Same thing federally. Everybody would know about Mark Carney because he's everywhere, but the other cabinet ministers we hear very little about, and most of us would be hard-pressed to name 4 or 5 of them. So there's all that concentration in the hands of the Premier or the Prime Minister. And the political science literature is very clear on this. All the studies that have been done is that the concentration of power raises serious questions about the well-being of the parliamentary system. But to limit the calling of elections, or say you have to call an election on such and such a date, does very, very little to address the problem. So it's not really solving anything as far as I'm concerned. I don't actually get too excited about it because, as I say, governments have found many ways to get around the requirement that the election will be set upon a certain date.
So the problem then, as you're describing it, is this centralization of power.
Absolutely, and that has been the long-term trend in all political systems, is the concentration of power at the highest order of government. Now, in Canada, we have quite a decentralized system compared to other federations, but the same logic holds. So the Prime Minister's office or the Premier's office is where the action happens. It doesn't happen on the floor of the legislature. It happens in the cabinet meetings, and there'll be a subcommittee of cabinet, and most of the stuff that they deal with is guided, shaped, advised by people in the Premier's office. And enormous power rests in the hands of the Premier. And I think it's unfortunate. That's the big issue. But you don't find people talking about that issue in election campaigns. They're talking about other things, and not very persuasively, I will say, but they're not talking about the fundamental features of our system. So this is a little fluffy thing as far as I'm concerned. What we have is a big dog issue, and we're sending a little newborn kitten out there to get involved.
So I take your point that even with the law, it's rather flimsy or toothless because the governing party can circumvent it, as the provincial government, as the Progressive Conservatives did earlier this year, right? We weren't scheduled to go until 2026, and we went in February of 2025 instead. So Would strengthening the law, Peter, at least play a part then in the decentralization of power that you're concerned about?
Well, I think there are lots of other things that could be done to reduce the power of the premier. For example, I have long thought that the party caucus should choose the people who are going to be in the cabinet, and that would reduce considerably the power of the premier. Right now, we have a punish-reward system, and if you fall in line with what the premier is saying, then you'll get promoted into more important cabinet positions and that kind of stuff. And if you speak out of line, then you get sent to the back benches, or God knows where else. I mean, the highest reaches of Queen's Park where nobody can find you, and that has happened. And so it's a punish-reward system, which is the fundamental feature of parliamentary democracy these days. It happens with every prime minister and every premier. Those are the kinds of things we have to be talking about. As I say, this is a fluffy thing. I understand the logic of it, but it can be circumvented because no parliament can bind another parliament. So you can't say, well, you can only call the election 4 years from the last election, and that's the way it is forevermore, because that would be regarded as unconstitutional.
Interesting times, as always, and your perspective is valued. Thanks very much for making the time, Peter.
You're welcome.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Peter Wollstonecroft is a retired professor of political science from the University of Waterloo and sees this as a fluffy issue that doesn't get to the heart of the problem, which is the centralization of power in either the premier's or the prime minister's office. And this is why I call on Peter at times like this, because he provides a perspective that usually helps me learn something. If I could go back, I didn't enjoy my political science classes, the couple that I took in university. My one prof, God bless him, Terence Qualter at the University of Waterloo, a textbook that he had written was the textbook for the class, and Professor Qualter's lectures involved him reading his textbook to us. To say I didn't get much out of that would be an understatement. The number of classes I ended up skipping because I just did the reading myself. What do I need to go to class for? To hear you read your textbook to me? Anyway, I digress. Pardon me for that tangent. What I was going to say is what I wouldn't do to give back, what I wouldn't do to go back and perhaps take one of Peter Wollstonecroft's courses when I was at the university, or Wooly, as I know some of his former students like to call him. My initial reaction to this idea of doing away with fixed election dates was one of frustration, because I don't like the idea that the party in power can call the election whenever it sees fit. Obviously, you would do it at a time that is most politically opportune for you. But as Peter points out, the law as it exists is so flimsy that it can be circumvented. We were not supposed to have a provincial election until next June of 2026. Instead, we went almost 8 months early, having the election in February of 2025. So 16 months if you want to put a finer point on it. But that's what we did. Went early because, of course, the tea leaves said, hey, Ontario Progressive Conservatives, if you go to the polls now, you're going to get another majority mandate. And they did. And so that means instead of waiting till 2026 and hopefully winning another majority and getting to 2030 for the next scheduled election, you go in 2025, you're guaranteed until 2029. And now though, well, maybe we'll just go till 2030. Or maybe we'll go in 2028 because we feel it's politically opportune to do so when we're removing the fixed election dates. I don't like that idea. I'm not comfortable with it. I think it's a disservice to us as voters. There should be the regularly scheduled check-ins. We go and we tell the governing party if we would like them to continue governing. But Peter says there are far bigger problems to solve, not the least of which is that centralization of power in the Premier's office or in the Prime Minister's office. And I get Peter's point, too. How many times have we talked about this? And this is one of the frustrations I have long expressed when it comes to party politics. You better toe that line, because if you don't toe that line, you will find yourself in the furthest reaches of Queen's Park, never to be heard from again, which, as Peter points out, has happened before. I would have the most difficult time with that. Obviously, if I ran to win a seat in government for a particular party, I would, I assume, be in alignment with most of the views of that party. Why else would I run for them? But surely I'm not going to be in chorus with the party that I ran for on every single issue. And I'll be ding-danged if I don't get to speak my own mind on every single issue, which is kind of why I like a show like this. We can be totally nonpartisan. I pick the issues that I support or don't support. It doesn't matter what party they came from. I always talk about the party of good ideas. I think good ideas come from all over the place. And I'm more than happy to support this conservative policy, this liberal policy, this NDP policy, this green policy, because it makes sense to me. But if you're a member of a particular party, you best not dare say that another party had a good idea, because then you're going to be on the outside looking in of your own party, which is not the way a democracy should operate at all. Do you think that fixed election dates are important in our democracy? Do you care that this provincial government is talking about scrapping the law that has the election dates fixed? As always, I'm curious about your thoughts on the issues of the day. 519-570-2545. Star 570 and 1-800-570-5715. Do we need to have fixed election dates? This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
The real issue is the enormous power that rests in the hands of the Premier and the Premier's office, or the Prime Minister and the Prime Minister's office. And that's been the trend in all parliamentary systems since after World War II, since the 50s certainly. The accumulation of power in the hands of a few, some not elected, some elected.
Peter Wollstonecroft is a professor emeritus political science from the University of Waterloo. Joins us this morning to talk about fixed election dates, or the lack thereof, if this provincial government gets its way, because they say, or Premier Ford anyway says, that this is a fake law that was made by the previous Liberal government in Ontario and should be done away with. As I've said before, I don't love the language that the Premier uses in this regard. And look, generally speaking, I'm actually a fan of the sort of off-the-cuff, shoot-from-the-hip behavior / language we get from the Premier. Like if you heard him yesterday afternoon responding to the U.S. ambassador, blasting a Canadian ambassador or official, and Doug Ford uses a line that he's used before. I know, sometimes the cheese slips off the cracker, right? It's just like back during the pandemic when he referred to people as a bunch of yahoos out there breaking pandemic restrictions and things like that. So generally, I have no problem with and actually quite enjoy the sort of phrasing and off-the-cuff commentary we get from the Premier. But when he says fake law, that's a little bit too close to the whole fake news thing from our friend to the south.
You are fake news.
And I don't think we need that right now or ever, quite frankly. Just a little too close for comfort from where I'm sitting. But in general, I have been supportive of fixed election dates just because it should take away the governing party's ability to game the system, essentially, to set things up so that they have the best chance for success. But by fake law, he probably just meant flimsy or toothless, as Peter Wollstonecroft explains, because it can be circumvented, as it was already earlier this year, and as it will be again. So maybe the big problem to worry about is that centralization of power and how every member of a party's caucus is brought in line or else. Just while we're on the subject, though, of elections, early or otherwise, I'm curious as to how you feel about the possibility of a federal election. I know that not everybody is thrilled with the early returns from Prime Minister Mark Carney. Next week's a big week. The federal budget will be delivered next Tuesday, the 4th of November. And the Sabres are being rattled in Ottawa right now with speculation that because this would be a confidence vote, obviously, on a budget, the minority Liberal government could fall as a response to this budget. And we're going back to the polls federally before Christmas. This is just some of the scuttlebutt that was heard as MPs left question period in Ottawa yesterday.
It's a minority government, so a budget will be presented in the very near future. Parliamentarians will have an opportunity to review that budget and make a determination. Obviously, our hope is that we will have the support of opposition parties. We have a mandate, a very strong one, from the people of Canada that was given to us not very long ago. We are at a very critical moment in terms of the future of the country right now in rapidly changing geopolitical context. Stability in Parliament is key, and I'm confident that we're going to have a budget that I think will help Canadians advance the interests of the country in a way that they expect us to, and hopefully the opposition will be there to support us.
So it's becoming pretty clear that the government is going to use their costly budget as an excuse for costly elections. But there is an alternative. They could bring in what Conservatives are calling for, and that is an affordable budget for an affordable life for Canadians.
If you read what they say and listen to what they say, in the case of Mr. Poilievre, he didn't even put in his election platform the kinds of things that he's asking us to do, so it's a bit of a stretch to ask us to do things that not even he would propose as a matter of course in his own election campaign. So I think in the case of Mr. Poilievre, he's determined to try and cause a Christmas election.
We don't need one.
Yeah, but do you want one?
No, God, no. I don't.
To make sure we don't have one.
We're going to table an excellent budget that Canadians will support. Look, this is the usual pre-budget posturing. You see it every single time. People are saying they're not going to support the budget and they don't even know what's in it. So let's wait and see what happens. These things have a way of working themselves out.
I tend to lean towards that philosophy. This is the typical language around a budget before it's delivered. Let's find out what's in it next Tuesday. We'll see how it goes from there. But as I said, the Sabres are being rattled. Could the government be brought down on the back of this budget next Tuesday? Jersey Bill is on the phone with us. Hey, Billy.
Yeah, I just have to think about the fact of the way that the whole government is organized. It is a constitutional monarchy, and unfortunately, that meant that the prime minister, you could say it another way, he's the first minister to the monarch, whether it's Canada or in Great Britain, and that's going to give you a lot of power. In the old days, I'd go back to the 19th century. When somebody became a party leader, he really wasn't challenged. Unless there was some big scandal that came up. I think Lord Derby was 18 years the conservative leader, and then after him another 14 years for Disraeli. I think Gladstone was forever, maybe 30 years of the Liberal Party. And then they have tremendous power when it comes to that. It's a way, and also you get this whole idea of party discipline. Now, finally, in the U.S., we're starting to see that in our parties, and it sort of goes against this whole idea of checks and balances. Now it's all about party discipline, and I think that we're losing an aspect of our democracy because of that. But you have to consider that party discipline is so very important in order just to have a functioning government in a parliamentary system.
Billy, always appreciate the perspective here on the show. We're going to get you an update from the 570 News Center, and then let's talk about rent control and whether or not we should have it. This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. If there is one kind of legislation I don't like, be it provincial or federal, it's omnibus legislation, which is a fancy word for legislation that contains all kinds of different elements. The government of the day trying to move the legislation will talk about one overarching thing, let's say speed cameras. for example, here in the province of Ontario. But that's just one small part of a much bigger bill that has all these little nuances. And if you're not paying attention, you might miss some of those nuances. I wish we could just have much clearer language and much simpler bills so we all understand what it is that the government of the day, be it provincial or federal, is trying to move. And I think it would be fair to call Ontario's Bill 60 something similar when it comes to all of the nuances embedded within the legislation. It started creating some buzz late last week, because renters in Ontario were worried that this Bill 60 in Ontario would remove rent controls and allow landlords to end leases, or when a lease expired, just have a tenant essentially evicted from the building because the landlord's needs have changed or their personal circumstances have changed. Sounds like that's being walked back, but it's a good thing we were able to pick up on that high-level part of the legislation. Aislinn Clancy is the MPP for Kitchener Centre, represents the Green Party. She's also the deputy leader of the party and joins us for a chat. Aislinn, good morning.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm good. A little tired. We have 3 Jays games in a row, right?
I don't even know what day it is. It's just another day after a Blue Jays win, I think.
I know. Losing my voice a little bit.
Understandable. Bill 60. Are you breathing a little easier today, Aislinn, now that it sounds as though the progressive conservative government is stepping back on the idea that would have ended rent control?
I mean, yes and no. That particular part of the bill was totally egregious. We know that investing in housing isn't like having a business selling widgets or stickers. This is somebody's shelter, right? So talking about, business strategies changing and market conditions changing, the way it was written could leave so many people homeless for no reason other than the person who bought that building wants to charge more rent, really, and rent is higher in your community. So that was really troubling to see that people could lose their housing with very little reason why. So that's really troubling, but there's so much in this bill, especially as it talks about the landlord-tenant board and tenant protections, that I think we still really have to be concerned about.
All right. What are some of those other concerns then in Bill 60 that have you worried?
It kind of, when we look at the landlord-tenant board, I think landlords and tenants can both agree that it's gotten really bad. And I don't want to just blame the government. I know that when COVID happened, things shut down and a backlog developed, right? So definitely when the government took office, wait times were about a month. Now they can be up to 10 months and beyond. I know they've been hiring adjudicators to try to clear up the backlog, but they're trying to solve the problem in a way that actually compromises justice for tenants, especially, and it's really not coming from the experts who work in this field, right? So I'm always troubled when the government makes changes to rules and like tribunals, which are meant for justice, in a way that doesn't include the voices of everybody involved, for example, oftentimes, I don't want to speak in generalities. We have bad acting landlords, we have bad acting tenants, we have great landlords, we have great tenants. So just put that out there. But, it just changes a tenant's access to justice. So, for example, before, now you could be evicted for being 7 days late on your rent. And I know that that's really hard on landlords, but it could mean that somebody could get evicted for a 7 day. If your landlord's or your employer's late on paying your wages, or you had a bad month, in the past, you used to be able to mediate that and come up with a payment plan and rectify the situation and move on. But now it could lead to an eviction. It also changes a tenant's access to justice. So because of the big cuts in 2018 to legal aid, so many tenants are showing up unrepresented, unsupported, and so it just changes. They can't bring up new information at the day of the trial. It makes them like let's say you withholded rent because your landlord doesn't have heating in your building, or they have a leak and they haven't fixed it. Some people, they're forced to pay that rent, 50% of that, before they can have a hearing. Meanwhile, the judge may decide that you don't actually have to pay rent during those months where you didn't have water and heat. So there's just messy ways in which it kind of undermines justice for tenants in particular. And I don't think it's going to go far to improving the landlord-tenant board, because we know they're just not listening to the experts about what's going to help the whole system.
Where do renovictions fall in all of this? Something we've been hearing an awful lot about, where a landlord decides that a unit or a number of units need to be renovated, and in that instance, the tenant needs to be absent from the unit so the renovations can be done. And then they don't get to come back.
Exactly. Like, it's pretty much completely ignored, renovictions. You know, we don't see accountability. So a bad acting landlord sometimes says, oh, my child is going to move into the apartment, and then they don't. They rent it out to somebody else at double the price. And then we see, you know, like what happened at 250 Frederick, where they cherry pick a few tenants who pay lower rent because they've been there for so long, which means they've probably paid the mortgage of that building, to be honest. But Mr. Klein cherry picked those tenants and said, we're going to renovate. Meanwhile, there's empty units. So bad acting intentions, you know, so it really doesn't help, because maybe in the past, you know, Mr. Klein, who's titled the King of Renovictions, might have written a letter on some paralegal paper that says you have to be out by the end of the month. Now it just says you have to use the form that you print off from the computer, which is basically you and I and anybody in this province could go to their computer and print out this M13 page. So whether it's a good renovation and that's well intended and actually, you know, follows the right process and is going to make sure people can move back when the renovations are done, or it's a bad acting one, there's no kind of process to make sure that these are valid reasons. You know, you literally just print something off the computer, and that hasn't changed. Same with above guideline increases. We see massive corporations kind of applying to have their buildings fixed, you know, to replace the furnace. Like, you and I don't get to expect somebody else to fix our investments and our capital costs, right? So these tenants have paid the mortgage, and now they're saying, oh, we had an issue with the furnace. And these are usually big investment funds. And so, again, there's nothing in there that will protect tenants from these kind of almost widespread. There's almost always approved. There's no accountability when it's done with bad intentions. So even if the tenant wins, like in the case of 250 Frederick, they can appeal. Like, the landlord can appeal, and he does this all across the province, like 21 buildings, and there's no consequences for this harassment of these tenants.
What would the Green Party propose, Ashlyn, to fix these problems and better protect renters in the province?
Yeah, so there's two parts. Like, the landlord-tenant board definitely, for landlords and tenants, needs to be fixed. People need access to justice in a timely manner, because it's really, really stressful when you're waiting for that. So in the past, we used to have once a month, the landlord-tenant board would come to the Waterloo Rec Complex. Everybody would be in the same building, so those, legal aid lawyers can run around and help tenants. They can mediate, say, oh, the landlord didn't get them, your rent from last month, and you're like, look, we got a rent bank, so we have supports there. Like, you know what? You can qualify for the rent bank. Let's pay your landlord right now and work out a payment plan, blah, 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 right? You can solve stuff without even going to the tribunal through mediation like they do in all other types of court. So let's get back to some in-person services, have targeted days for Waterloo Region so those supports and services can be there to fix some of the issues that we're facing. But we also need to clean up some of the bad actors. So whether you're a tenant that's a bad actor or a landlord, we have some repeat offenders who continue to harass with very little consequences. And they'll just, like Mr. Klein, it sounds like he's just fired his paralegal and he's got a fancy lawyer from Toronto to kind of take these 250 Frederick tenants back to court again. So it holds people's lives hostage, and we have to make it more unappealing for them to do that. So, like, if you want to evict someone, where's the building permits for that? Like, to show that you need to do that. You need to make sure you have a place for someone to go while you're renovating. So I know Kitchener's looking to an eviction bylaw, Hamilton. So municipalities are trying to figure this out because people are becoming homeless at an alarming rate. 80,000 this year. It's said to be 300,000 in the next decade. So We need to find a way to not just willy-nilly evict people. And also, if people can't pay their rent and they're bad-acting tenant because they make a mess, let's get them supportive housing they need so they don't, terrorize the landlords as well, right?
Ashlyn, I really appreciate your time on the show this morning. Thank you very much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I really appreciate you kind of looking more into this so people know what's going on and they can push for better.
Always looking for conversations just like this because it impacts so many people. So looking forward to the next conversation as well.
Deep gratitude. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Ashlyn. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ashlyn Clancy is the MPP for Kitchener Centre. She's also the deputy leader of the Green Party. Look, we've talked about this specific issue, really, and the friction, if you will, between landlords and tenants many times over these last couple of years. And we've come at it from different angles. In a general way, the question I'd like to ask you this morning and get your thoughts on is this. Is the system working? If you are a renter, even if you're not, do you feel as though renters are being adequately protected? Are landlords being given adequate protection from the bad actors in the tenancy side of things? Are renters being given the adequate protection from the landlords who are bad actors? Is our rental system working? Maybe you're looking for a place to rent and can't find one at a reasonable rate, in which case it wouldn't be working for you. I'm sure you've heard the stories. I'm sure you're following the news. There was a story from this morning's Waterloo Region Record that practically broke my heart. And I have no heart, but it broke it. I'll tell you that coming up. But I want to hear from you. Is the rental system in Ontario working? From whichever perspective you want to come at it. From the landlord side, from the tenant side, do we have a rental system that's working? Let me know your thoughts on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
They're trying to solve the problem in a way that actually compromises justice for tenants, especially, and it's really not coming from the experts who work in this field, right? So I'm always troubled when the government makes changes to rules and tribunals, which are meant for justice, in a way that doesn't include the voices of everybody involved.
That is Ashlyn Clancy, the deputy leader of Ontario's Green Party and the MPP for Kitchener Centre. And those changes to the Landlord-Tenant Act are still part of Bill 60 here in Ontario, which also included a proposal that would have brought an end to rent control and indefinite leases in the future. That's the part of Bill 60 that got people talking late last week. Imagine indefinite leases whereby something would end and instead of just a renewal at the landlord's whim or discretion, that lease could be ended. The rent control, we know that buildings built prior to 2018 are controlled. The annual increase is set by Queen's Park, and that's the way it works, except for those newer buildings that have been erected since 2019. Those parts of Bill 60 have been walked back after a tremendous amount of backlash and criticism of it. But other elements, as you heard Ashlyn Clancy outline in that previous conversation, remain in place. I don't think there is any doubting that the system today is imperfect. And I think one of the biggest problems, quite frankly, and this is just me on the outside looking in because I am not a renter anymore, but one of the biggest problems, it seems to me, is the backlog at the landlord-tenant board here in Ontario. You need a hearing, you're going to be waiting an awfully long time. And in the meantime, between time, there is a great deal of friction, perhaps even an eviction happening because you just can't get your hearing because the landlord-tenant board is so backed up here in Ontario. 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. Is the rental system, the rental market in Ontario, working? That's the question I'm curious as to your answer to. Is the rental system in Ontario or the rental market in Ontario working. Because when we've talked about this before, we've heard from, and I have the utmost sympathy for, those well-intentioned, well-meaning landlords who get, frankly, screwed by tenants who are bad actors. The most egregious example of that I remember from several years back was a woman who just moved from place to place and never paid a nickel in rent and continued scamming landlords who were in good faith renting out their units, and then they just never got paid. And because of the backlog at the landlord-tenant board, it takes an awful lot of effort to actually evict someone. And I believe it counted up to about 18 months or more that this woman never paid a nickel for the shelter that she stayed in. She just moved from community to community and kept taking advantage of these poor landlords. That's awful. That's egregious. We've heard from folks on this show when we've had these conversations in the past who have rental properties or rental units within their homes, have had some terrible tenants and have had a whale of a time evicting them, and then ending up with a situation whereby instead of having some rental income, they ended up operating at a loss. We certainly don't need that happening. And then, of course, there's the other side of the equation. And we've talked an awful lot about rent evictions. And you heard Ashlyn Clancy make reference to a fellow by the name of Michael Klein, who's known as the rent eviction king of Ontario. Village Media, which publishes guelphtoday.com, did an in-depth story on Mr. Klein a couple of years back now, probably. But if you were to Google it, it is an exhaustive report which really painted Mr. Klein in a terrible light, but with the documentation to back it up. And this is somebody whose MO is to go into a building, say that all these repairs need to be made or these renovations need to be done, and people get evicted so that he can just turn around and re-rent the place, maybe with a fresh coat of paint, to somebody else at a much higher rate, because we know the market demands or commands a much higher rate right now. It's an awful situation, and sadly, there are too many of them. You've probably heard of the tenants advocacy group, Acorn, which has done a great job in pushing back against these rent evictions, including at 250 Frederick Street in Kitchener that Ashlyn mentioned. They were just out on Glen Forest Boulevard in Waterloo earlier this week because there's another building that where tenants are being on the verge of rent evicted, or the property owner, when it changed hands last year, apparently things have changed dramatically. Now all of a sudden these units need to be renovated. People are going to be kicked out, and oftentimes tenants don't even know what their rights are, and they might just end up accepting the fact that they're being evicted and they have to go find a new place to live if they can. And if you've been in a place for a long enough time, you know that your rent today is much less than what the market is commanding because you've been there for so long, and the increases can only be, last year the province set the increase at 2.1%. So it's tough. It's tough for sure. I wouldn't want to be a renter today. I really wouldn't. Pat is with us on the phone. Good morning, Pat.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. I think people are always reacting to market conditions and policies that are set by the government, and so we created policies that have caused unaffordability issues, productivity issues, really a desire for demand destruction in response to a lot of these policies. And we're layering in other policies like rent controls that in general are not good for economic stability and overall growth. And so, the way I see it is we live in a country that for the past 15 years has voted for governments that have, an environmental and an equity impact at the forefront of their policy decisions. And the reason why people can't afford rent or a home is because of these policy decisions. There's not enough housing supply.
Yeah, but I don't know that's got anything to do with looking at something through an equity lens.
No. Yeah, correct. With respect to rent control, you're correct. But with respect to productivity, the equity lens plays a role.
Okay, sure. And listen, Pat, I got to get to a news update, and I'm late already. I think that's a bit of a red herring here, and not applicable to the conversation in the least. Looking at process over outcomes when it comes to productivity, absolutely. And that's a whole other conversation that I'm happy to have at another time. But I got to get to news, and I didn't get to tell you that heartbreaking story, so I'm going to tell it right after the news update, I promise, and then we'll let you know about the ultimate burger battle. And maybe we'll find out where to get our lips around a big, good old burger in this town these days. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. All right, just before we jump into our next conversation, which is not only tasty, but important, I did promise to share just the story from this morning's paper regarding the rental market, specific to the city of Kitchener in this case, and how the story almost broke my heart, because what we have is a proposal in Kitchener, and we all know we need more housing, we need to intensify, we need increased densification, we need to grow up, not out. We've heard these things over and over and over again, and there's a proposal to take a home in the Fairview Park Mall area of Kitchener that's currently duplexed. It's a single-family detached, but there are 2 units created in it. And they want to turn that into a 6-plex, which, again, meets the needs of a community that needs more housing. However, there are people in that home today, and where the story really tugged at my heartstrings was from one of the people who would be displaced with this change in the dwelling. Says, we've created a neighborhood here. We know our neighbors. It's a nice place to live. It feels like a safe place, and we will be displaced by the creation of this new 6-plex. Instead of a duplex, it becomes a 6-plex. So you gain 4 units of housing, but in the process, you remove people who have been living there affordably. While the city of Kitchener does have a rental replacement bylaw, that only applies if 6 or more people are being displaced by the creation of a new apartment building. So this is just an example of something where I can just imagine, living in the basement of that house, for example. You've been there for many years. You've gotten to know the neighborhood and the neighbors, and you all get along, and it's a warm and welcoming place. And all of a sudden, because we need more housing, you're going to be punted, and 6 new units will be developed in that place. Kitchener has deferred the decision on the development for now. We'll see where it goes. But really kind of hit me in the feels when I read that, because I can imagine what that must be like for the person who would be displaced. All right, I want to tell you about, in so many ways, the ultimate burger battle that is coming up, because first of all, who doesn't love a good burger? And then who doesn't love a good burger for a good cause? And in this particular case, the cause is the United Way of Waterloo Region Communities, and its CEO, Joan Fisk, joins us to talk more about this. Joan, good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
Let's first, before we get into the burger battle, a little bit about United Way Waterloo Region Communities. I mean, I know that people are stretched thin these days, and there's a lot of need out there. How are we doing through the United Way with the work that you do supporting people?
Well, it's a very good question, and it's really a good segue to even the conversation you just had about housing, because that remains one of our most important problems that we see here in the region, that people need a good, safe, affordable place to live. So United Way's job is to be a fundraiser to help in this particular role in helping our local organization around critical needs. So how is it going? It's tough. I have to admit, it's a tough time. People are feeling, they're feeling anxious. We're really struggling sometimes to get people to be engaged. So that's one of the reasons that we're adding sort of some fun into fundraising with the Ultimate Burger Battle.
I love that. And I was thinking exactly the same way. This is something that started back in 2018 in Thunder Bay, and good news and good ideas travel. So the United Way Ultimate Burger Battle begins, next Thursday, the 6th of November. Can you tell me more about it?
It does. It's a really quite an amazing, fun event. We've got a number of restaurants in our area lined up to create a burger. And the fun burgers, honestly, one of them's even got crocodile or alligator in it.
Come on.
It's called Gator Tail. You should see the pictures of the burgers. You would just die laughing.
I love it.
But the most important thing is that it's adding a level of levity. It's really adding something fun to what we do to make it an organization that people can understand supporting. If we don't have some kind of levity in our life, I think that we're all kind of feeling a bit gray. So the last year's winner was in New Hamburg at the Imperial Restaurant, and they're doing it again. They're also serving some of our local supported beer. A company called Wavemaker out of Cambridge, a little microbrewery, has made a beer for United Wave, and they're calling it what are they calling it? They're calling it United Wave, and it's an amber ale, and a lot of them are serving it with the burgers. But we've got a amazing, fun bus ride next week where people are going to go to all of these little places, have a slider, and every place that they go to will serve them a little bit of a side and get back on the bus, and it's going to be a fun evening, and that's going to launch it on the 6th.
So that's a little burger tour.
The burger tour, yes, the burger bus. But if you really think about it, and really what we're trying to do, besides serving delicious hamburgers, we're really trying to raise awareness in the community because food is one of our biggest insecurities, because along with housing, food obviously goes hand in hand. So we're trying to make it a fun way of understanding how privileged we are to be able to go and get a juicy burger somewhere, but also the overarching message here is to help your community and help local charities and be here to help us give back to the community, and it's just a fun way to do it.
So how can we get involved in that ultimate burger battle, burger crawl next Thursday, June?
Well, there's tickets available. You can just go online and find them, and it's really easy to do that. You can get on the bus, or you can just find out who's going to be the ambassadors. The ambassadors, by the way, are the people that judge the burgers. You could go to Ernie's, or you could go to Abe Herb, or you could go and get a mushroom truffle burger at Tony's, or you can go to the Boathouse, our new Boathouse, and get the Canoe Burger. And all of these amazing, Proof has got one with a, I think it's got really spicy aioli on it, and maybe even it's got an onion or a couple onion rings. But everything that you can imagine to make us laugh is there. And we've got so many people that are involved in tasting them and adding their notes. Imagine having to eat 15 burgers over the month.
So does this then, because we've got the burger crawl next Thursday, we can hop on that bus and go around and right. And then does this though then run through the month, Joan, if we
yes, it does.
visit these
All
restaurants?
Of those restaurants
okay.
that I was talking about.
Yep.
The Bruce, the Boathouse, Gator's Tail, Black Shop, Canadian Brew House, Imperial Restaurant, Abe Herb, Tony's, Proof Kitchen, Chef on Call, Ernie's Boathouse. I must have missed somebody. But what that is you can go and taste the burger. $2 of each burger will go to United Way. And if you buy a pint of the delicious United Wave Amber, 50 cents from that will also go to United Way. It's a bit of a fundraiser, an awareness raiser, and just a way to sort of lighten up November, which is kind of gray.
You know what? As I look out my window right now, you're absolutely right about that. And nothing says fundraising in a fun way like burgers and beer. This is a wonderful combination, Joan. What does money that's raised through an event like this help United Way Waterloo Region communities do?
In this particular case, we're really focusing on the concept of housing, because housing is the biggest need in our community. It's all around safety. It's even around, the community support for children, because, children need a good, safe place to live, and they need food. So we support, as you know, Nutrition for Learning and Food for Kids and other food programs across the community. So our big focus this next little while is housing and food. So you can hear in my voice lots of times that we can't imagine what it feels like to not have food in our fridge. We can't imagine what it feels like to couch surf or sleep in a car or any of the other things that are happening besides the homeless encampments that we hear so much about. This is sometimes the stuff you don't see, stuff underneath the cover that you don't see, that people are really not struggling with decision making, what to pay, rent or food. Sometimes it's a big decision between the two. So United Way is there to help, add some help and support to our community, and we don't have enough. So we're appealing and pleading, and I beg, I do everything I can possibly to say, help your community, support United Way, because while supporting the community and raising funds for local needs, go out and have some fun and eat a burger.
I think it's a great idea. I'm sure it will be a smashing success, and I really appreciate you, Joan, the work that you and the entire team do at United Way. Thanks for joining the show this morning.
Oh, you're welcome, and thanks again for having us, Mike.
It's a pleasure. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Joan Fisk is the CEO at United Way Waterloo Region Communities. Listen, it doesn't get much easier, does it? You buy a burger, if you want to enjoy some United Wave from Wavemaker Brewery in the Preston area of Cambridge, along with that burger, it's $2 from every burger sold. It's 50 cents from every purchase of United Wave beer from Wavemaker. And you are supporting that great work that Joan just talked about, that United Way Waterloo Region Communities is doing. I'm on the site right now, and I'll just give you the little rundown here because these things look incredible. There's a bison smash burger from the Bruce Craft House. And if you haven't before tried it, may I strongly recommend bison. Oak Ridge Acres used to operate out of their farm market on Greenfield Road in Ayr. Unreal. That's the first time I tried bison. They're kind of famous for it and absolutely loved it. Loved it. Ernie's Burger at where else but Ernie's. You've got a chip dip burger from the Imperial Restaurant, the Abe Herb Burger from Abe Herb in downtown Kitchener. That's the one at Charles and Victoria. The United Way LTO Burger from Chef On Call. The Mushroom Truffle Burger from Tony's Family Diner. The Maple Smash Burger. Oh, I like the sounds of that. From the Canadian Brew House in Kitchener. Canoe Digit Burger from the Boathouse in downtown Kitchener. The Muffaletta Burger from Gators Tail Sports Shack and Grill. And if you go there, you might run into my buddy D Law. That tends to be a place he hangs out a lot. The Ringleader Burger from Proof Kitchen and Lounge. And the Black Shop Burger from, of course, the Black Shop Restaurant. These burgers, all month long, $2 from everyone sold, supporting United Way, Waterloo Region Communities. I'll make it easy on you. I will put the link on my X feed, okay, at Farwell_WR, so you can find it there. Check out the burgers for yourself, maybe set up a little plan. You know, we eat out every now and again in the Farwell household, and maybe we'll just make sure the burger trail is a part of our month of November to help out the United Way. And there's also that Ultimate Burger Battle Burger Crawl next Thursday evening where you'll hop on the bus. It's $60 to do that. It gives you the opportunity to taste test a whole bunch of these and enjoy an evening in support of United Way. I have in the past, full disclosure, been one of those burger ambassadors. And let me tell you, that is a good time because you're getting some good eats. So check out my X feed in just a moment. I'll post it at Farwell_WR. Learn about these burgers, where you can get them in the month of November to support United Way, Waterloo Region Communities, because $2 from every burger sold is going to go to United Way. And since we're on the subject, I know you can always point me in the direction of something good. You've probably, if you've listened to this show for more than a minute, heard me talk about Windsor Pizza in the past. And no disrespect to our pizza places here locally, but nothing touches Windsor Pizza as far as I'm concerned. But a good burger, I know we can get those in many places around town. We've always been partial. One of my absolute favorites is the Big Ben, which is made by the Duke in Uptown Waterloo, an absolute classic as far as I'm concerned. And the Lab Street Eats on Victoria in downtown Kitchener makes a smash burger that is just, it's unreal. Absolutely love it. I've had the Juicy Lucy from Morty's before too. I'm not sure if that's a special order, if you can always get it, but you might want to give a little nudge and a wink to Jay or Soupy over there and see if they'll whip you up a Juicy Lucy. Because let me tell you, it's not only a challenge, but it's a delicious challenge. You tell me where you get the best burger in town. I'm going to post this burger crawl information to my X feed. We're going to help out United Way at Farwell_WR. And then you help me find the next best burger to try in town. Who's making the best one these days? Would love to get your input on that, your feedback on where to get the best burger in the region of Waterloo. 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. Fill me belly. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
We're trying to make it a fun way of understanding how privileged we are to be able to go and get a juicy burger somewhere. But also the overarching message here is to help your community and help local charities and be here to help us give back to the community. And it's just a fun way to do it.
That is Joan Fisk, who's the CEO of United Way, Waterloo Region Communities. The ultimate burger battle is back. $2 from every burger sold at participating restaurants starting in November goes directly to United Way, Waterloo Region, which of course will help to fund vital local programs and services. To make it easy, because there are many participating restaurants and the photos on the website, I mean, I don't want to put too fine a point on it, but I could lick my screen. Come on with your coming on. They look delicious. They sound delicious. And $2 from everyone sold starting next month will support United Way Waterloo Region Communities. I've made that easier for you. You can just find the link on my X feed at Farwell_WR. Let's help out United Way Waterloo Region Communities in November with the ultimate burger battle. You can even get on the ultimate burger crawl next Thursday and go to a bunch of the restaurants that are serving them up. Enjoy a taste of those burgers. Enjoy some United Wave beer from Wavemaker Craft Brewery and kickstart this fundraising effort for the month of November. But on X at Farwell_WR, the link to all of the details on all of the burgers, and maybe you can set up your own little burger crawl throughout the month to help out United Way. In the meantime, you can point me in the direction of where you have found the best burger in these here parts. 519-570-2545, star 570 and 1-800-570-5715. Where, oh where, is the best burger found? I'm not surprised at all to hear from my good buddy, producer Paulie, because he and I mentioned before the break that I had the chance in the past to be one of those burger ambassadors, those burger judges. In fact, I think I might even have a T-shirt to prove it. I can't remember. I think there is. Anyway, it was a great day, and Paulie loves himself a burger. He says the place to go is Burger Stack on Ira Needles at Highview, not too far from the expressway. Of course, I know it well because it's at one of the many roundabouts that I have to traverse every day, and I don't like the roundabouts, but I've seen Burger Stack. I've seen the sign out front at the roadside. It does make me curious. So on Paulie's recommendation, I might just check it out. And my mom, who's clearly listening today, good morning, Mom. Thanks for listening to the show. You can always count on family. I've joked before about the Farwell family mafia in this town. If the day I go down on this show, I will have at least the members of my family still listening. That's guaranteed. And Mom reminds me that at Jack's Family Restaurant, you can get the original Harmony Burger, which I'm sure you remember you can still get from Stemler's in Heidelberg as well. The Marks family has given the recipe to Stemler's, so you can buy it there and make it yourself, or you can go to Jack's and get it because they have that partnership with Stemler's and the original Harmony Burger, which is, I mean, the stuff of nostalgia in this region, right? Most of us remember the days of going into that restaurant, the old Harmony Lunch. 90 years it was around on King Street in Uptown Waterloo, not far from Bridgeport. Many a day. I used to have a tradition on American Thanksgiving. My brother and I would get together for football and book days off work, the Thursday and the Friday, because I think the Americans do Thanksgiving better than we do. No disrespect to us Canadians, but they make it a 4-day weekend and travel to see one another. Anyway, my brother and I would get together for the Thursday football, and I would go to Harmony before the football games. And I didn't need any of the other sides. I just needed my slider with fried onions. And I would get 2 of them and a chocolate milkshake, and I would sit right down there at one of the stools at the bar, at the counter, and enjoy my my Harmony sliders back in the day. My buddies and I also enjoyed Sonny's, like the Sonny's on Weber at University, the drive-in restaurant. And they, for whatever reason, were more into the fish and chips. I'm like, just give me the burger. I would order my burger, and then I would put a quarter into the Ms. Pac-Man machine that was there until Sonny's was gone. Absolutely love that. And that was a great burger as well. So let's make sure we help out United Way Waterloo Region communities in the month ahead. Again, you can get details on the Ultimate Burger Battle on my X feed at Farwell_WR. I'm going to get you to the 570 News Center for an update, and then a story that's been in the news since Josh Piercy was reporting on it this morning here on the station on All News Mornings. A report going to regional committee next week recommends that we build tracks from Fairview Park Mall in Kitchener to Ainslie Street Terminal in Cambridge. We need trains for rapid transit phase 2. But a councillor in Cambridge thinks otherwise. At minimum, she thinks we should put this to a vote in the public. We'll talk about it coming up. Do we want trains into Cambridge? This is the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. It will be the most ambitious infrastructure project we have ever undertaken in this community. Phase 2 of light rail transit. Phase 1 was previously, or I guess currently stands as, the most ambitious infrastructure undertaking in the history of this community. But Phase 2 has been talked about for some time. The route approved some years ago. The I's have been dotted, the T's have been crossed, the business case has been built, and staff at the Region of Waterloo are recommending to Council that trains be the option to complete our rapid transit service. We have trains now going from Conestoga Mall in Waterloo to Fairview Mall in Kitchener, and the staff report recommends we build more tracks and put more trains on them to get us from Fairview Mall in Kitchener to the Ainslie Street Terminal in Cambridge. Some still advocate for rapid buses as the solution, but the report says trains are the way to go. And oh yeah, by the way, they would bring more than $10 billion, in fact, almost $11 billion in development to the city of Cambridge. So it's a no-brainer, right? Well, not so fast. Helen Schwery is the Ward 1 councillor in the city of Cambridge. She has written a letter to the editor, and the headline of it says, "You think we need the LRT? Let's hold a plebiscite and find out." Councillor Schwery joins the show this morning. Good morning, Helen.
Good morning, Mike.
Do you think we need the LRT?
I'm sorry?
Do you think we need the LRT?
Well, when I ran for councillor, my big thing was to be a voice to the residents. And most of the residents, I would say 99.9, that I've talked to do not want it. So it doesn't matter what I think, it matters what the residents think. And I find it interesting that they are saying they had a survey of 2,500 people that responded. Of the 2,500, 53% were from Cambridge, which would be roughly 1,325. And of those, approximately 78% wanted. That's like 1,033 residents that support the ION according to the survey in all of Cambridge. Well, when I went door knocking, I can tell you at least 1,000 people that I asked, only 3 said yes, the rest said no. So are we listening to the Cambridge residents? It doesn't appear to be. And even after I wrote the letter, I got a lot of emails and calls saying they don't want it. Because really, who is going to ride it? We're spending a lot of money, and I understand there's going to be a ton of maybe high rises. I'm not sure where on Hespeler Road, but who will be using the LRT? We're spending a lot of money. And and I heard you say billions in economic development. Where? I just would like to know where. Is it going to be just high rises? Like, where is this economic development? Nobody's telling us. Because I know in Kitchener, Central Meat Market lost a lot of customers, and the region paid them $10 million for loss of customers.
Well, and of course, that was the disruption during the construction,
sure.
right? Yeah. So now, of course, Central Fresh would benefit from a stop right nearby where people can get off, go and do their shopping, get back on the train.
Well, correct, if a ton of people do it. But I drive to Waterloo a lot. I used to live there. And when I look at the LRT, I see it's maybe a quarter full. Maybe sometimes it's more, but it's mostly for students. So we're paying a ton of money. It's still going to cost taxpayers. When people say it's not going to cost, you saw the letter, there's an operating cost of $23.8 million a year. Right now, taxpayers are like aghast at paying 5% interest or 5% property tax increase. How are they going to feel when they're going to have to fund this? We have to really look at who will be using the LRT.
Well,
for example, I live in Hespeler, or somebody living in Blair. Are they going to drive to the Ainsley from their home, get on the LRT, slowly go to the mall, get back on, go back, because they're going to have to park? Who will be riding it? I know most people, and how many people, I don't know how many times, you've ridden the LRT or people or proponents for it. I'm curious, have you been once? Are you a regular user, or you just want it? So, for me, I really care about our residents. That's why, and our taxpayers. And if they say no, I don't think I'm smarter than them, and I can't see the future, while some other people feel. And I feel we should have a plebiscite. If everybody's so confident that that's what we want, let's do it.
Okay, and
let's just have it.
I understand that point of view for sure. Just to go back to the ridership point, Helen, and I understand where you're coming from, but we kind of can see the future, if I may be so bold as to suggest, because we have seen what light rail has done for Kitchener and Waterloo. And we've been told it's not about ridership, it's a development tool. And so there have been billions of dollars in developments happening around the light rail stations. So when that happens in Cambridge, and it will if we put down tracks, that's good for the city, right? Not only do you have places for people to live and businesses setting up shop, but that's tax revenue on your assessment growth in Cambridge. Wouldn't you want that for the city?
I want growth. I do want growth, but guess what? We're already doing it without the rail. We're already, there's a lot of big developments, high rises going up, and just around Fountain and Eagle, there's already a lot. They're not saying we're only going to develop when the rail comes. They're already permit or applications, and so we're already doing it. So to say people are only going to do it if light rail, well, it's already happening without. So I'm not understanding that.
Okay, fair enough. And so how would the plebiscite work? Should this be a referendum question on the municipal ballot next fall?
Not next fall. I would say as soon as possible. Maybe it's but if they're already pushing, like next week, they're going to have a vote, which I, by the way, just found out through the media. I wasn't told ahead of time that the region's going to have a vote. We weren't informed of that. But I think it should be done as soon as possible because it's a ton of money we're talking about. And I feel we need to listen to the residents of Cambridge. They know what they want. I wasn't elected to do what I want. I was elected to do what they want. So to me, that's important. I don't know if it's important for others, but listening to the residents is very important to me.
Helen, I appreciate your time on the show today and you sharing your position on this. Thank you very much for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Take care.
You too. Bye now.
Bye.
Helen Schwery is the Ward 1 councillor in the city of Cambridge, and she makes it clear. It's not even up to her. It's up to the residents. She's not claiming to be smarter than the folks that she talked to when she was knocking on doors for the election. She wants them to make the decision. I might suggest, and this always gets tricky, right? Is it up to council to tell us what's good for us? They're there, pat us on the head, like, you can't have a backyard fire in Waterloo. I bristle at that stuff from time to time. Believe you me, I do. But I think it might be helpful, in this case in particular, for a council to help us look into the future, consider what the future looks like with or without light rail transit. But look, I get it. I will be clear with you. I am 100% supportive of light rail. I don't ride it. I don't love the price tag. And Helen Schwery is absolutely right about the cost. And whether we say it's going to be funded by upper levels of government or not, that's still our tax money. but we might as well get some of it back from the province and the feds, right? And invest in something like this. I have seen the development. And frankly, do I love high rises? Hell no. I've talked about this before too. But we are a community of 700,000 people today. The projection is that we will be a community of 1 million people about 25 years from now. And I think we have to get our heads around what this community looks like and how it is connected when all those people are here. And this, to me, is a critical part of the connectivity for this region as a whole. That's my take on it. $4.5 billion makes me shake in my shoes, I promise you. But here we are. Anyway, I'll leave it there. That's my take on it. You've heard Helen Schwery's take on it. I want to hear from you. Should we put this to a public referendum? Should you get the chance to vote before we move forward? Do you want it light rail into Cambridge? Do you not want it? We'll take your calls right after this on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
I can tell you at least 1,000 people that I asked, only 3 said yes, the rest said no. So are we listening to the Cambridge residents? It doesn't appear to be. And even after I wrote the letter, I got a lot of emails and calls saying they don't want it. Because really, who is going to ride it?
That's the response that Cambridge Ward 1 Councillor Helen Schwery has received on Light Rail Transit Phase 2. Tracks to carry people on our light rail system from Fairview Mall in Kitchener to the Ainslie Street Terminal. The region, in the report prepared that Council will consider, or at least the Planning Committee will consider next week, cites a survey of 2,500 people. Half of those people were from Cambridge, and 75+% said we support the light rail transit system. And as Councillor Schwery pointed out, she did the math. It works out to just over 1,000 people. Which 1,000 people were those? And 1,000 people out of the, 200,000 or so people in Cambridge? Is that a significant enough number? One thing I just want to make clear, and I'm going to get right to the phones then, is one of the things that jumped out at me from this report is the price tag. We've talked a lot about the $4.5 billion, how difficult that is for us to wrap our heads around. And a lot of people have said, it's going to end up costing even more. You just watch. I've said before, and the report makes this clear, that is a future-proofed number, if you will. That is the amount, $4.5 billion, if we get this thing started by 2033. The interesting thing is, if we could start it today, it'd be $3.1 billion. So we're talking a $1.4 billion increase between now and 2033, when I guess this would be projected to begin. Just something to keep in mind. But that $4.5 billion number is the number for the future when we start laying down tracks. If we start laying down tracks. Do you want tracks to Cambridge? To the phones we go. Curtis, you're first. Good morning.
Good morning. I really liked hearing you tell that counselor that the economic benefit would come, and I don't think she could grasp how big it is. So she doesn't have a vision is plainly what I want to say, and bring it on. It's going to happen. They're going to love it when it's done. Yeah, there's headaches along the way, but that's like anything else. Look at Kitchener and Waterloo, how well they've done and how well they will do. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thanks, Curtis. And listen, I'll add to the kind of pain in the butt. Like, I don't love driving around it, to be honest with you, but you can't argue the development, the billions of dollars. And the estimate is near $11 billion for Cambridge if it gets rail. Because remember, you put down tracks, the stations and the routes are permanent. They don't change. They don't move. They stay there. So it's almost $11 billion, according to the report, that Cambridge will reap by way of development if they do trains. Rob, what do you want?
Yeah, hi. I just want to comment. We've already seen that the regional government is projecting a tax increase of 5%. So I'm just wondering, that's before I heard even news of the LRT. And the other thing was, we watch the local news religiously every night, and I never heard of any online survey regarding input from the public. But anyways, the other thing I'd like to say was, everybody keeps talking about economic and development, and everybody seems to think that growth is always a positive thing. But I kind of like to remind you, the whole one of the big premises of this LRT was, it's going to stop urban sprawl. But from my point of view, and I live in Pioneer Park area, I've driven out Bleams Road, Block Line. The urban development, or the eating up of farmland, is just nonstop. So that was all hooey, anyways, that it was going to stop urban sprawl. The other thing is when you talk economic development, we always keep talking about building homes for affordable housing. Well, none of these condos are affordable to anybody, really. I mean, what I'm looking at is, as a retired person, the taxes go up and up and up, and pretty soon I won't be able to afford to live in the place I live in.
Yeah, I get you, Rob.
I got to tell you this: from May of 2024 till July of 2025, our quarterly municipal taxes went up 18%. Now, you're way beyond the cost of living, and so who's gonna absorb all this cost? It's great for developers,
I get it, and I got to get to other callers, but I appreciate that perspective. I just want to say this about the engagement surveys. I can't speak for our friends at CTV Kitchener, which I also watch religiously, but I know here we have covered, and I'm sure they do, because they do nice work over there at CTV Kitchener for sure. I'm sure they were talking about the survey when it was online, the public input sessions. I know we talked about them on the show, so maybe it just wasn't interesting enough to you. Maybe you didn't pay enough attention to that story, but I promise you it was publicized that these surveys were available for us to take. But your points are well taken. I get it. And listen, I talked the other day about my taxes since I bought my place in 2014, up more than 30%. At this point. So I feel that same pain. Sean, over to you. Trains to Cambridge, yay or nay?
Yay.
Okay.
I must admit, I am somewhat disappointed by the councillor's lack of vision for the future. Who's going to take the train? If I'm still alive when it gets here, I'll take it. Like I happen to live in Galt. I understand there's some areas of Cambridge that are far away from the proposed track, and they probably won't take it because they will be living in subdivisions that the developers will have built out there because the province is allowing the developers to override our planners. But, what are you going to do? But, it'll be a great engine for Cambridge. And we just can't keep building roads everywhere.
Yeah, I get that part. And just when you bring up the province and overriding developers, when it comes to growth, remember that it is actually the province driving the growth in this region. We are designated as a place to grow provincially. So as people arrive here, they are shuffled into this part of Southern Ontario, of which we are included. Sue, good morning. Do you want rail to Cambridge or not?
I just want can I give you 3 ideas?
Sue, I got so many callers. It needs to be quick.
3 fast ones.
Okay.
Ottawa is a complete flop because they get a lot of precipitation. Cambridge gets more precipitation, and buses can go through snow a lot better. There's been so many accidents.
Okay. So you want?
No, don't let me go.
No, Sue, you got one idea.
There are accidents, and then that stalls, mixes up the whole lane of the transit if there's an accident of somebody hitting, the train. So buses are important to have as well at each block, because shopping at that one across from KCI, if you took the transit, it's up to Green. That's where you would get off. Down by the hospital.
Okay, Sue.
So when you're buying,
Sue, I'm sorry to interrupt. Please,
I know, buses, but please, more buses.
Sue. Okay, you said 3 ideas, and I just got to get to other callers. So you want buses?
Problems.
Okay, thank you. I thought I misunderstood. So, I get that. Listen, we have bad weather here, and our trains don't always run in the bad weather, which has frustrated me, too. I get it. Sue thinks the buses can get through better. Glenn, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. How are you, buddy?
Good.
So in Mississauga, they got the development, and then they got their trains. So why are we backward from Mississauga? Do the developers need a $4.5 billion subsidy?
Mississauga, they have a light rail system?
Yeah, they're building along Highway 10.
I had no idea they were building a light rail system in Mississauga.
Yeah.
Okay.
But see, the thing is, you're just giving the developers a subsidy. That's all it is.
Okay. Well, that's another way to look at it, too. And we know the development community will profit from this. Conservative Charlie, good morning.
Oh, Mike,
Mike, what could be more democratic than having a vote? I would vote no for light rail. And I'll tell you why. For all you people that put trust in our regional government, how many answers did you get out of the regional government why they plowed out 800 acres of corn? Try to get an answer to them and see if you believe them about all these billions of dollars of development. Why would anyone really trust regional government on this, Mike?
Conservative Charlie, your cynicism is noted. Look, I can't speak to the actual price tag, but there's no arguing, at least from what I can see with my own eye, the development that has happened in Kitchener and Waterloo around light rail. But it continues to be contentious as we plan for phase 2. I have a feeling our flip side this morning, when we take a break from the heavier stuff and have a little bit of fun, is going to be equally contentious, because we're going to talk about Halloween candy and what the best Halloween candy is. And if you say rockets, you are voted off the island, just so you know. But we'll have some fun talking about the very best of the Halloween candies coming up on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Well, boy, oh boy, did I ever find myself the ultimate time suck for the day. And this all started, I blame my coworkers. I blame my coworkers because it's never my fault, of course. My coworkers, upon reading this morning what would be coming up on the show later today, were quite interested in the flip side topic for the day. We are into the flip side now. We do this every Thursday morning at 11:30. Give us a break from some of the heavier stuff and the complaining, and we have a little bit of fun with a less serious topic and or question. And since we are into that season, of course, and the big day is tomorrow, when you will either be handing out treats or collecting treats, maybe both, the question becomes, what is the best of those treats that you will either hand out or collect? It is as simple as that. When my coworkers saw this on the lineup for the show today, they found the internet to be rather helpful. And by helpful, I mean the internet just sucks your time away from you. But I couldn't resist when I caught one of my coworkers in the process of making their own candy tier list maker. And what it is, and I've shared this on our Facebook page, facebook.com/The Mike Farwell Show. The link is right there. And you have the options of first candy gone, and then an A-ranked candy, a B-ranked candy, the candy that is last gone, the candy that goes straight into the trash, and then the category that says, I don't know what these are, they weren't in my neighborhood. And they've got little pictures of all the candies, and you fill them in, and then you come up with your own list of what are the best Halloween candies. There is not a single candy on my first gone list that is not chocolate. I should add that this is an American list because Mr. Goodbar is on there. But whatever, you get the idea. It's just for fun, although it does suck some of your time. But everything on my top row, first gone, is chocolate. Straight into the trash, starts with candy corn, includes Good and Plenty. Do you remember those, like the black licorice flavored? Anyway, toothbrushes, and, of course, chocolate-covered raisins. You can put chocolate over raisins if you want. You're not going to fool me, all right? I was born at night, not last night. Also, Almond Joy went straight into the trash on my list because who likes coconut? The answer is nobody. Anyway, you can find that link to the candy list tier maker on our Facebook page, as I said, facebook.com/The Mike Farwell Show. And if you have the time, or you just want to take the time out of your busy workday, you go right ahead and play with the internet a little bit. But in the meantime, let's have the conversation about the Halloween candy that is the most desired. The one that you love the most. And if you say rockets, we are going to have words today because I've never understood those things. Anyway, it's sugared powder, isn't it? 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-57 15. One of the things not on this internet site, which just occurred to me, are those little square caramels. Oh, my gosh. Who doesn't love those? Little chewy things. Those are delicious, but they didn't make the internet list. Let's go to the phones and make our own list. Lisa, good morning.
Hey, Mike. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great after that game last night.
Oh, my goodness. I think people are just waking up from the game, Lisa.
That was amazing. That kid is something else. I tell you, what a pitcher.
Trey Yesavage for Prime Minister.
Well, he's definitely. I hope they hold on to him on the Blue Jays.
I hope so too.
They're not the best for keeping their players, but so back to Halloween candy. I'm going to date myself because my kid favorite was, we had a neighbor that made homemade popcorn balls, and I'm sure she used those little caramels to make them. They were amazing, and of course you don't get homemade stuff anymore because you're afraid your neighbor's doing something nefarious. But that was my favorite thing when I was a kid. But now it's the Jolly Rancher gummies because they're tart and they're chewy and they're amazing.
Lisa, it's an excellent choice. I have those on my last gone list because I go for the hard, sweeter stuff first. But those Jolly Rancher gummies are good ones. You're right.
They are good.
All right. Yep. Thanks for the call.
Okay, have a good day.
You too, and happy Halloween in advance of tomorrow. Sean is next. Sean, what's the best Halloween candy?
3 words. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
Number 2 on my first gone list. Probably should have been number 1. I just found the M&Ms on the pictures first. But yeah, so good, right?
Right.
Can't beat them. Good choice, Sean. Thanks, buddy. Good to hear from you today. Grant, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I would say rockets and then...
No. You can't say rockets. That's not allowed.
Well, in my books, it is.
You really like rockets, Grant?
Yeah.
Do you know what rockets are?
Yeah, they're candy. I know.
But they're terrible candies.
And then they used to have, I think it was caramel and chocolate, right? Or was it fudge? Something like that, right?
I'm not sure what you mean. Like caramel and chocolate, like a caramel bar for sure.
No, like the square caramel.
Oh yeah, those square caramels were awesome. Yeah, in the little wrappers. Yeah.
And I thought they had them in chocolate.
You know what? Fudge. They did make the chocolate ones too. Yeah, good memory.
Yeah, I could eat a whole bag of those right now.
This is the beauty of it. And I was at that big house party for Habitat for Humanity Waterloo Region last night, and they always do it at this time of year because they attach a Halloween theme to it. So there were buckets of candy out all over the ding-dang place. And let me tell you, what is it? It's a Cadbury Dairy Milk, but Oreo cookie covered chocolate covered Oreo cookies. It's just a little thing, like the little Halloween candy size, but those, like whoever came up with that idea, oh my goodness. I just went from bucket to bucket. I did have a Twix bar too, but I just kept looking for and they're little blue wrappers, right? With the Cadbury chocolate and the Oreo cookie base, and it was delicious. I found so many of those last night because they still got the Oreo cream in there and then the crunchy cookie and the chocolate covering, and just forget about it. I must have had 6 or 7 of them. Thanks for inviting me, Habitat for Humanity Waterloo Region. I probably won't get invited back after eating all that chocolate last night. Jim, good morning.
Good morning.
Best Halloween
How's your
candy
day so far?
My day so far is pretty good. Yeah. How's yours?
It's great. Looking forward to Halloween coming up tomorrow for all the little kids and such. But back in the day, I grew up in the Northdale area.
Okay.
Between late 50s, early 60s. The first thing we did, the scarf down supper, got my bag, threw a mask on, ran over to this one house in the neighborhood. She was the only person that did candy apples.
Oh.
Something that would never happen today, but I thought that was probably my most favorite thing I ever got in candy. Today, I would say a coffee crisp.
Oh, that's a good one, Jim. Underrated, for sure.
Exactly.
All right. Great to hear from you today. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, you have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye. Another choice. the homemade candy apple, but the coffee crisp. So I was at that symposium I was at last week. I mentioned to you a couple of times that that's where I was last Thursday when I was away with the EDC, the Economic Development Corporation here in the region. And during the afternoon break where they bring out the coffee again and some snacks, they had full-size chocolate bars. Full-size. Coffee crisp was one of them. I felt strange. Like, I'm like, who takes a full-size chocolate bar off a tray for an afternoon snack? Now, if they had been minis, I probably would have taken 6 or 7 of them like I did last night at the Habitat for Humanity Waterloo Region event. But no, that's not what happened. But going back to that, when Jim was saying he would finish his supper real fast, put on his mask, grab his bag, and go to this one particular place for the homemade candy apple, I thought he was going to say the full-sized chocolate bar. Never in my neighborhood, ever when I was a kid, did anybody give out the full-size chocolate bars. One of our old managers here at the station used to bring them in every Halloween. He'd just go to Costco, buy a box, and bring them in. And so tomorrow I would have... Why did he go and retire? He should have been made to stay until at least November the 1st, so he could have brought me a full-size chocolate bar tomorrow. But none of the people in my neighborhood ever gave out full-size chocolate bars. The other one that I kind of had a love-hate relationship with because, listen, I did love my cans of pop, make no mistake. But when somebody put a can of pop in your bag, that gets real heavy real fast. And, you know, it's just a little kid. It gets heavy to carry the bag. I want as much room for chocolate as I can, and I don't want to have to work too hard out there while I'm filling the bag with chocolate. So it's a bit of a mixed blessing when somebody puts a full can of pop in there. I guess now I'm seeing why the toothbrushes are on this internet list to help you make your favorite list of candies, because it's a dentist's delight, isn't it, every October the 31st? Ryan, good morning.
Morning, Mikey. How are you today?
I'm doing great, my friend. How are you?
I'm awesome. So in regards to the question of the best candy,
yes,
I have to agree with the Coffee Crisp and the Kit Kat. And being a Canadian citizen and a financial planner, I teach my kids young, and there's a thing called dad tax. We're familiar with taxes in Canada, particularly the Waterloo region. Since my kids are growing up in it, I impose a dad tax, and it's usually Kit Kats and Coffee Crisps, and they know before they come in the house, they got them set aside for me.
I love it. You know what? That is actually very positive parenting, Ryan, because they got to learn that they're going to go out and make some money someday, and through no fault of their own, somebody's going to claw that money away from them.
Absolutely. Teach them young, right?
I love it. Thanks for the call. Good to hear from you.
You too, pal.
Cheers. The dad tax. You got to pay the dad tax. We were pretty lucky that way. I don't recall my parents ever taking a tax, but I also recall, you get so much candy. So much candy. Can you possibly go through all of it? Eventually, the bags would be dwindling down, and then, you'd leave the rockets and some of the other stuff in there, and you just let it go. But that is a good lesson for the kids. It makes me think back to The Cosby Show. Do you remember the episode when Mr. Huxtable was teaching Theo about money and living on his own? So he pulled out the Monopoly money, and he's like, here's your money. You got to pay this for rent, blah, blah, blah. And so they go through the expenses, and at the end, Theo still has some money left over. And he's like, look at this. See, I know how to budget. And his dad says to him, you going to have a girlfriend? Well, yeah. And he takes the rest of the money. He says, that's it. There goes your budget for the month. We're focused, though, on the free candy you're going to get and or give tomorrow. Here's the thing about my neighborhood. We barely get into the double digits these days. Like, we might get 10 kids if we're lucky. And that might, that's 10 knocks on the door. Meanwhile, a few blocks away, literally on the other side of the one street that kind of divides our class of the neighborhood to my parents' class of the neighborhood, they get hundreds of kids. Apparently, I just learned this talking about it like a couple of days ago. The neighborhood where my parents still live, where they get hundreds, like, people ship their kids into this neighborhood because they know how good it is for trick-or-treating. I never knew that. And so no wonder they don't come down to my side of the tracks, because why would you go over there when all the good stuff is on the other side of the tracks? Anyway, the thing for me is we'll buy the candy, and it's awesome because 10 knocks on the door. In between all those knocks, guess who gets to eat all of the candy? And I get to choose it for myself. The best Halloween candy to receive is... That's the question for you on the flip side today. Let me know the answer. On the Mike Farwell Show, this is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. you think tomorrow is going to go anyway? I mean, it's not just any old Friday, right? Halloween falls on a Friday, which is awesome. The kiddies can stay out a little bit longer, but how many of you are basically going to be clock watching the entire time you're trick-or-treating and ensuring that the kids wrap up in time for you to get home and put on baseball at 8 o'clock tomorrow night, right? You're going to rush through dinner. You're going to get out onto the streets before 6, give them a solid 90 minutes to 2 hours out there, trotting around, tire out their little legs, get them home by 7:59 p.m. so you can be there to watch the Blue Jays attempt to win the World Series on home field at Rogers Centre. It's got to be the way it goes. And just imagine, to add to that layer of mystery for tomorrow, or intrigue, or complication, there's a Kitchener Rangers game tomorrow night, don't you know? I've had more emails and questions than I can count. Do you think they're going to change the time of the game? First of all, not up to me. But if you were to ask me, which you did, my guess would be no. So you add that layer into all of it. How do you take in a junior hockey game, which we love to do in this community, and trick or treat and watch the Blue Jays? There's a whole lot going on in one little place. We are focused on Halloween here on the flip side this morning, asking you the simple question, what is the best Halloween candy? 519-570-2545. Star 570 and 1-800-570-5715. Which one do you like the best? Underrated, in my opinion, Tootsie Rolls. Something that you rarely see outside of Halloween, right? And there was another one, we just called them bats, whatever that, because that's what they were called, right? They were BBB, like B-B-B-B-bats or something like that. And it was like a molasses-flavored candy on a stick. So good. Again, some of these things only do come out at Halloween, so you can enjoy them. Loved those. Dave sends an email to Mike at 570news.com. Farwell's Force member number 179. Number one on the list of best Halloween candies, caramel. I put it in the fridge to harden the center. Excellent move. That's a veteran move there, David. Well done, sir. I put most chocolates in the fridge now to harden them up. There's something about them that way. And I'm sure you know this already, but just in case you don't, because David reminds me of it with his caramel in the fridge to harden the center. Girl Guide cookies, the chocolate mint ones, put them in the freezer. Like, forget about it. Out of the freezer, straight into your mouth. Absolutely fantastic. And they don't get too hard that they'll crack your teeth. At least they haven't cracked mine yet. That's the veteran way to eat a chocolate mint Girl Guide cookie. Number two on David's list of Halloween candies, Starburst and the like. Yeah, those ones. Lisa mentioned that at the very beginning, right? The Jolly Gum, the Jolly Ranchers chewable, the gummy type things. Very good. And Starburst might be a little bit underrated. And then number three was other chocolate. No white confectioner stuff. That's not chocolate. David is tossing candy corn, those layered squares things. Those ones also taste like black licorice. I know the ones he means. I can't remember the name of them. What are they called? I'm forgetting. And anything coconut. David and I think, just became best friends. And speaking of things that get tossed, also on my list, which you can access from our Facebook page, facebook.com/The Mike Farwell Show, where you can put together your own list. They've got the pictures and everything of your first gone, your A candy, B candy, last gone candies, and then straight into the trash candies. I also put the Hershey's cookies and cream bar into there. I cannot stand those things. And the team services guy with the Kitchener Rangers, Tats we call him, Nick Tatler, loves, and we have this ongoing dispute. Every time he gets a cookies and cream bar, he just waves it in my face. It's disgusting. Whatever that, I don't know what that is, but it ain't chocolate, that's for sure. Sorry, tangent. Let's go back to the phones. Janice, what's the best Halloween candy?
There used to be back in the day when we were growing up, they used to have a candy called the Kisses.
Oh, yeah.
And they were made out of, they had orange ones and they had like the molasses, and the orange were delicious.
So good. So good. I didn't like them initially. They grew on me. I love them now.
Oh, and the one that my husband, listening to you and hearing about how everybody used to charge daddy taxes for getting certain things out of their bag.
Sure.
My husband used to go after those little caramel things.
Yes.
Even our neighbors' kids would bring over all their caramel to my husband.
Your hubby's a smart man. He knew. It became a neighborhood tax.
Yeah, that's pretty well what it was.
I love it. Thanks, Janice.
Okay.
Great hearing from you today. It's not just the dad tax, it's the neighborhood tax. Give me those caramel squares. Mary Ann, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. She kind of took my thought away. I like the Halloween kisses. I have to be open and honest. I think chocolate should be on the list, but I can't eat chocolates. I get really, really sick from it, so I stick to the Halloween kisses.
Okay, well, you know what? They're still pretty good, right?
Oh, yeah, they're good. They're good. Another one I like, and I know you said you don't like it, are those corn candies.
Oh, no. Nobody likes those, Mary Ann.
Oh, I love them. I love them. I go crazy over them.
Well, you know what? I'll bring my neighborhood tax to your place. You can have them.
There you go.
Thanks, Mary Ann.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. The best candies are. Really, if you need some time to cyber slack today, just check our Facebook page and play the little game. Put your little list together of the best candies, top to bottom. First gone to straight into the trash. This is the Mike Farwell Show. Talk Back is next on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Take out the papers and the trash, or you don't get no spending cash. If you don't scrub that kitchen floor, you ain't gonna rock and roll no more. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
Just finish cleaning up your room. Let's see that dust fly with that broom. Get all that garbage outside, or you don't go out Friday night. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
Every day between noon and 1, we open up the phone lines to give you the chance to talk back. Don't you talk back to me, young man. If I had a nickel for every time I heard that, holy Hannah, would I ever have a lot of nickels? But in this case, you are allowed to talk back. In fact, you are encouraged. It can be a reflection on the news of the day. We got so busy during the 11 o'clock hour with our conversation about light rail transit into Cambridge. Maybe you would like to share your thoughts on that. I still feel bad for Sue, who's I just didn't understand well enough. And Sue had 3 different things that she said she wanted to say about light rail to Cambridge, and had other callers waiting on the line. I was not as patient as I needed to be. I feel bad for that. So Sue or anybody else that didn't get to weigh in because our phones were so busy on that subject, if you want to talk about whether or not you think we need light rail to Cambridge, by all means, we've got more time to explore the issue in this hour. It was a hot topic, to be sure. And of course, most of us are still, I think, celebrating. Maybe we haven't even awakened fully today and wonder if it's just a dream that we were in. But it's not. These Toronto Blue Jays, some way, somehow, a scrappy little bunch that they are 1 win away from winning the World Series. And not only that, because I'm trying really hard to be cautious and not get too far ahead of ourselves here. You still have to win the 4th game, and they always say in sports, the final game of the series, the winning game of the series, is the toughest one to win. But they're doing this against the Los Angeles Dodgers, like a super team. Shohei Ohtani, the billion-dollar man, struck out by Trey Savage last night, the 22-year-old kid making league minimum. It's just, oh my goodness, I'm so impressed by this baseball club. Anyway, obviously, if you want to still celebrate some Blue Jays, we're here to do that. You take your pick. It is open lines for your thoughts on the Talk Back Hour, and Andre is going to start us off. Good afternoon, Andre.
Good afternoon, Mike. Happy Thursday.
Happy day after a Blue Jays win, Andre.
Yep. I'll be fast. I got 3 things.
Okay.
So I'm going to go backwards. Go Rangers, go. I'll be with you, listening to you on my earpiece tomorrow, Mike.
Thank you.
And Number 2, you had a question yesterday about who do you think should sing, right?
The national anthem before the Blue Jays game tomorrow night.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it all day, all night, and so this is my A and B, and then I got another point after. So B would be Justin Trudeau holding hand with Katy Perry singing our anthem and the American anthem, since they're a couple, right?
No.
That would be one.
No.
Okay.
We don't need that juju. We do not need that juju, Andre.
And then A would be Ariana Grande. I think she deserves it. She's one of our biggest today's talent. I think she would be amazing. And then my last point is about today, about your chocolate. I think it should be the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. instead of Babe Ruth. What do you think?
Very well done, Andre. The Baby Ruth chocolate from the U.S. Make it the Vladimir Guerrero. Hey, listen, to any Canadian candy makers, there's your chance. Make the Vlad Guerrero Jr. chocolate. That's a great idea, Andre. I love it. I'm sticking with George Fox for the national anthem tomorrow night, just because he was the guy that sang before Game 6 in 1993. That is the kind of juju we want, right? And since Andre brought it up, can I just say, because, you know, it's a talk show, we say things, I don't care at all for that Trudeau-Katy Perry union. I mean, not only do I not care because whatever, the former prime minister, what do we care anymore? But I don't even like that. I'm not, ick. Can I just say that? Ick. I don't like it. I'm not buying what they're selling. All right, talk back to Warren. Good afternoon, Warren.
Good afternoon, Mike. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing really well. That's a familiar sounding Warren's voice.
Oh, I should hope so. So, Mike, I want to have your listeners, and I know you have a large number of Ranger fans who listen to you every day, and will also be going to the Ranger game tomorrow night. That wonderful neighborhood that you were talking about that has all of those kids coming for chocolate bars is going to be very busy in that neighborhood between 5 and 7. People, the Ranger fans, park on the streets. They come to the area. I would ask that the people who are coming tomorrow night give a little extra attention to our young people who are going to be out there excited about Halloween, and they may not follow the rules that they should look both ways, crossing the street, etc. So anything we can do to help, it's going to be appreciated.
That is an excellent point, and thank you for the suggestion.
You're welcome, Mike.
Enjoy your day, sir.
Yep, talk to you later.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That is a familiar voice to me because he's never been Warren. He's except for right now, but he's always been Mr. Stoke, my next-door neighbor when I was a kid. And you heard me saying that my parents still live next to the Stokes, and that's where all the kids go, even though I don't live that far away. We don't get as many kids in our neighborhood as my parents and the Stokes get in theirs. And that really is, I was actually reminded of this on Sunday at the hockey game. And this is what happens when I don't write things down. I've got to be better at that. I really do. You reach a certain age, things don't stay in your brain as long as they should. But this was brought up to me even last Sunday. Get fans ready for Friday night. And Warren, a.k.a. Mr. Stoke, to me, is spot on with this. And I know you know this in your heart of hearts, but let's spread the word as far and as wide as we can. You're going to go to the game tomorrow night. You're going to park in the neighborhoods that you always park in, including this neighborhood where kids are going to be out there looking for a good time and their next candy fix, right? So we will take it upon ourselves to be extra careful because 5:30-ish, 6 o'clock-ish, it's getting dark. Kids aren't going to be paying as much attention. It's up to us to pay all of the attention. Park your car safely, walk over to the rink out of the neighborhood. That's all well and good. But make sure you're watching for those little ones who are just out looking for some chocolate tomorrow night, okay? We'll make sure it's a very safe night in the neighborhoods around the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. Rangers fans, you're capable of that sort of thing. Love you for it. Kyle, over to you on Talkback. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What a win last night, eh?
It really was, wasn't it?
I love Schneider. I mean, I know a lot of people didn't like him, but I like him on the team. I think he's fantastic. The way he pumps up the team, you know, when he's not playing, he's still there. Like, giving handshakes and high fives and stuff. And what a first hit. His dad got a really good video of that. And same with Vladdy. I mean, that one was just gone. So hopefully tomorrow, I'm kind of jealous because my dad's going to the World Series game on Friday. So he's a lucky guy. And, because my sister and I are not allowed to go because it would be too much, butting heads and stuff. So he's taking his girlfriend, which is totally understandable. And so the one thing I want to say, though, is you're talking about burgers. The best place to go for a burger is in Listowel, and it's called Big Dogs, and he makes an amazing smash burger. You have to go and check it on your bike ride next year, Mike, if you ever come up. But go to Big Dogs, amazing smash burger, okay? And let's go, Jays. Go, Jays, go, baby. Woo! One more. That's all we need, buddy, is one more. Go, Jays, go!
Thank you, Kyle. Kyle, I knew was going to go down that road. I will remember Big Dogs, thank you, in Listy for next summer when I'm out on the bike, or maybe sometime this fall when I'm out in the car. But I did want to ask him if his father really loves him, because I think if his father really loved him, he would take those World Series tickets tomorrow and he would sell them for a fortune and then, add it to Kyle's inheritance. Isn't that what a good parent would do? Well, I'm just making a little joke. You could. Be worth a fortune, those things. Francis and Sherry, speaking of Listowel, a couple of my favorites. Hi.
Hi, Mike. A couple of things. You talked about singers, and I made a list. And, at this time of country unity, and we stand on guard for thee, I wish the more traditional singers, I've got a 3 list, and one of them you talked about yesterday was Michael Burgess.
Excellent choice.
Next is Colm Wilkinson.
Also very good. Stratford Festival fame recently.
And Phantom and Les Mis he performed in. He is Canadian.
Yep.
Sarah McLachlan.
Oh, yeah.
And those 3, they're prime. I know that they want to appeal to the younger crowd, and Bieber would be a good one. Anyway, I also wanted to comment on the Blue Jays. I think the coach this year has done a phenomenal job, and I'm speaking of cycling all the players and giving everybody a chance, as was witnessed last night by the 22-year-old. He did a phenomenal job, set a new record, and I think go Jays go. I'm with Kyle on that.
I love it.
And to have a rookie put him down, yes. How does our friend down south think of that? God bless.
God bless to the both of you. Thank you. I hope our friend down to the south realizes that the 51st state is currently winning the World Series. Just on the John Schneider point, that's the Schneider that I thought Kyle was talking about, but he meant Davis Schneider, the player who hit the home run on the first pitch of the game. John Schneider, the manager, and Sherry talks about that. I'll be honest, and I'm not going to claim to be an expert, but I have not always agreed with the decisions he has made around pitchers being left in, changing players, pinch runners, pinch hitters, etc. But if it's one thing that I feel I have learned watching this team over these last many months, it's the culture that he has created. And I don't think that should be understated, the value of that culture. This team talks all the time about how close-knit it is, how much they like being around each other, how much fun they're having. That starts at the top with the manager, as far as I'm concerned. And I don't think you need any more proof other than the hug he gave to Trey Savage when he came off the mound from his performance last night. First of all, he let him go out for the 7th inning. And when he ran into just that wee bit of trouble, you knew if he didn't get the 9th hitter, they were going to bring the bullpen in. Savage knew that, but first of all, he was given the chance to go out and see what he could do into the 7th inning, 100-plus pitches. But when he came off that field, the hug and the genuine warmth that seemed to exist between manager and young player, forget about it from where I'm sitting. And I think John Schneider is underappreciated in that regard for the culture that he has created around the team. I don't care your lefty-righty, lefty-lefty matchups in hitting or pitching or your pinch runners here and there and whether you agree. Managers, coaches, etc., They create the culture. He has created a whale of a culture. We are one win away from a World Series title. And we're just one quick commercial break away from taking more of your calls on Talkback. You make the call and start the conversation on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. The Talkback Hour is your hour. As one of our callers said yesterday, Mike, you talk too much, so you can make me talk less. Just by making the call yourself, I'll shut up and listen. Mark is next on Talkback. Good afternoon, Mark.
Good afternoon, Mike. That was me who said you talk too much.
I know.
Okay, but you don't. You don't, Mike. I enjoy your talk.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay, couple of things, Mike.
Yes, sir.
You seem to know everything.
I love it when people think that. I've got you all fooled. Okay.
Number one.
Yes.
CKCO News. What happened to that weather guy? I think his name was Aurelio or something like that.
Will Aiello.
Yeah.
Yeah. He went back home. He's an Ottawa boy, and he got hired by CTV in Ottawa.
Okay. Because he was very good.
Yes, he was. He had that, like, for those weather presenters, they have to have that, like, personality side to them to do the fun stuff. And listen, Alex Pinto's going to fit right in with that role.
Okay, but I like the new woman, too, that took over. She's very good, too.
Alex Pinto, yes.
Okay, now, Mike, you said you had a couple of tickets for tomorrow night's Blue Jay game?
No, but a friend of mine, he posted last week when the Jays tickets went on sale to the public that he put up a post that showed that he had got tickets for Game 6, and he just said, please let there be a Game 6. Please let there be a Game 6. And now, of course, he looks like a genius because while everybody was going after tickets for Games 1 and 2, he got tickets for Game 6, which could be the clincher tomorrow night.
I thought I heard you say you had tickets.
No, sir, I am not that lucky.
I was going to say, Mike, if you've got tickets, you can't go anyway.
I know. What would I do?
So I was going to say sell them, but okay, you don't have them.
I do not.
Okay, Mike, well, listen, go Rangers go, man.
Thanks, buddy. I agree. Go Rangers go. Somebody listen to my broadcast tomorrow night. I did ask, though, on behalf of my friend, who I saw that social media post from last week when he got tickets for Game 6. He's like, please let there be a Game 6. I just asked this morning for fun. Like, I mean, what would you do? I would be awfully tempted because we heard as of this morning from our sports reporter, Simon Bennett, that standing room tickets for tomorrow night's game at Rogers Centre on StubHub were going for $2,300. So if you got a couple of tickets at face value last week, you paid a few $100 for the tickets. That's fine. So you spent $500, $600, even $700, but you could turn around and sell each of them for $2,300. Like you're talking a $5,000 or more payday for tickets you might have spent $700 on. Oh boy. Like I would be so tempted. Wouldn't you? Like, I don't want to put it into the universe, but what if they lost and you spent the money and you went there and you had to see them lose and they break your heart? Or you put like $5,000, $6,000 in your bank. Oh, pretty tempting for this cheap guy. Nathan, you're on Talkback. Good afternoon.
Hey, Mike. I don't even know what time of day it is anymore. I've been staying up so late watching these games, but loving every minute of it, of course.
You and me both.
The part I'm not loving so much is how are the anthems just getting worse as the series goes on?
It's almost like we're being trolled, isn't it?
It seems that way. It wasn't even just the Canadian anthem last night, though. The American anthem singer was horrid. Like, I don't understand what's going on with that. And personally, I just don't get the whole anthem things before sporting events like that. I could understand if it's like Olympics or World Juniors, stuff like that, where you have Canadian members are on the team. So I don't know. To solve this problem, I say we get rid of it in the Major League Baseball and the NHL and the OHL and all that stuff. I don't know. It's getting too much. Anyways, great performance from Trey Savage, and I'm looking forward to see if Gosman can hold up against I believe it's Yamamoto. It's going to be a tough one, but I say if we don't win tomorrow, we got this in Game 7. Go Jays, go.
All right, Nathan. Appreciate that. The national anthem conversation is an interesting one. I've managed to avoid the anthems for the most part before the games, last night being no exception, because I was out with the fine folks at Habitat for Humanity Waterloo Region at their big house party fundraiser. The game was on, and we kept our eyes on it as best we could, but I wasn't party to the anthems last night, although I have heard the responses to it. I'm mixed insofar as this. First of all, when you get the opportunity to sing an anthem, to perform an anthem before a game, I get that it's a big opportunity and you want to stand out maybe, but I think sometimes we try so hard. I would be a big fan of just give it to me straight. Use your voice. That's what we're there to hear. You've been chosen because you can sing the anthem well. Just give us the best version of the anthem. That's why they put prop bets on the Super Bowl for how long the anthem will be, because the singers tend to drag them out a little bit. So I get that, and I wish we would just get right to it and just give us the best performance using your voice. Brian Dunn, the regional police officer who sometimes sings the anthem before Rangers games. Oh my, I could listen to that guy all night. Just keep singing. Incredible performance. As for removing the anthems before sporting events, I say no. I like that moment. I know not everybody does, and Nathan's clearly one of them. I like that moment, just to pause, listen to our anthem, and then play ball or drop the puck. I'm okay with it still. But hey, if you feel as Nate does, you can let us know, because that's what Talkback is all about on the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. I don't think the euphoria of Game 5's win has settled down just yet. It's been a busy day on Talkback. I love it this way. Be a part of the conversation by making a phone call. 519-570-2545. Star 570 or 1-800-570-5715. Toll-free Jay, my man, good afternoon.
I hope that in appreciation for Yasevich and what he's done, they do send him to a long-term deal over the winter.
Somebody said before, I think it was Lisa, saying we don't have a good track record of keeping our good players. Look what they just signed Vladdy to. I have faith, Jay. I think this is obviously he's a talented kid, and let's keep him. Yep, they will.
I hope it's long-term, and thanks for your help.
Thanks, Jay. Good to hear from you today. Let's go next to Phil. Phil, before you speak, can I have a word?
Sure, go ahead.
All right. You going to behave yourself like the good Catholic boy that you are today?
From the waist up.
Oh, my goodness. You are something else with that language the other day. And you're a guy that I trust, an old North Warder like you. Don't let me down, Philip.
Okay. You're the D'Artagnan of a local AM radio.
The who what now?
Well, the protagonist.
I'm an antagonist.
Okay,
and you're antagonizing me.
Okay, we're going to talk about national anthem singers.
Yes, sir.
It seems like lately it's like they've all fallen on the cement and banged their head when they sing. So my nomination, I'd like to hear Jim Cuddy sing.
That's an excellent choice. Excellent choice.
And he lives in the area, so I'm sure he can zip over, no problem.
All right, Philip. Thanks for the call. Thanks for keeping it clean today.
Well, we may or may not see you tomorrow.
I understand. I understand.
Okay, bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. I look forward to the next time, though. I see Phil almost always at Kitchener Rangers games. He's a North Warder. If you know, you know. Originally from Kitchener and now makes his home in Stratford. Love seeing him. I see him at games in London, too. And he's a regular contributor to this show, which I also appreciate. All the way from the Festival City. Gosh, I like it out there, too. You got a lot of things going your way down there, don't you? Over there, out there. Stratford. Beautiful place. The Avon River. Do you call it the Avon? I would call it the Avon River if I was there. Anyway, lots to love about it. It's one of my favorite places to ride the motorcycle. I take it down to Balzac's on the main street there on Sunday mornings, grab a coffee and a muffin. Go, because I'm a tough biker like that, right? Stop for my coffee and muffin. Oh, can I have some granola and yogurt too? Anyway, when the weather gets nice again, you're welcome, because I put the machine away for the winter yesterday. I had to tuck her in the motorcycle. So now you know we're going to have like a balmy and 30-degree week where I'm like, why do I not have my motorcycle still? You watch, but You're welcome in advance for the good weather that's coming. Ron is with us on Talkback, Farwell's Force member number 32. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So let's first talk Blue Jays. What a game. You know, Trey Savage was just savage out there.
Did you spend all morning coming up with that, Ron? Come on.
No,
Okay.
no, I didn't spend all morning coming out with that. But
All right.
yeah, it was just savage. It was just a savage game that
It was.
they pitched. You know, and then we had, I can't believe that Vladdy and Schneider kicked it off in the first inning. It's like, whoa, crazy.
3 pitches, 2 home runs.
I know. I'm hoping that they can do something on Friday, but I'm thinking we're going to have a Saturday game, unfortunately.
Really, eh?
I'll tell you why. Because you got the pitcher that, I can't remember his name.
Yamamoto, but he can't have
Yamamoto.
3 straight
He has-
complete games.
He has he's crazy good.
So
And
are
I've
we.
seen him-
So was
I
Blake
saw him.
Snell. We crushed him last night. So was Ohtani.
Yeah.
We beat him.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
But Ohtani is, but that's after that 18-inning game.
I don't care. We went 18 innings too.
True, but I can tell you, I have a feeling we're going to go to a Game 7.
All right, that's fair. You can have that feeling.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also candy-wise, I have to say I agree with you on the candy corn. I have to agree with you also on the Rockets are just bleh.
Yeah, you're good call, Ron. Both of those candies are terrible Halloween candies. If you're giving those out, you are running a tremendous risk of the kids doing not nice things to your house. Here's the thing on Game 6 and or Game 7. And I don't know what it is. Like, I find it impossible to underestimate this Blue Jays team. They just go out there and get it done, don't they? I've been enjoying it so much. Selfishly, though, I've been thinking about this same thing in the next 2 games. And if I'm being honest, a Game 7 would work a whole lot better for my life because tomorrow night I'm going to be broadcasting a Kitchener Rangers game and hosting a post-game call-in show with you while you are most likely just watching the Blue Jays game. So, I mean, maybe the game will be a blowout and you'll want to talk some Kitchener Rangers hockey with me by that time. I don't know, but I stand to miss the entirety of the Blue Jays game tomorrow because I'll be working throughout the entire thing. So if there is a Game 7, that would work much better for my professional life because I have to work on Saturday, but it's earlier and I'll be home in time for the game. But I still want, and I actually still think the Blue Jays, they're just going to take care of business tomorrow night. I really believe that because that's what they do. They take care of business. Greg, you're on Talkback. Good afternoon.
38 here.
Farwell's Force member number 38. Good day, sir.
Hi there. I don't know. I'm a bit late to the party again, but some maybe my suggestions have been made. But Burton Cummings for the anthem.
I don't know. I think I got that. No, I know I got that via email yesterday from Marino. But that would be another. I mean,
and his voice is still rocking too.
Yeah.
Anybody
saw him at Blues Fest?
Cummings.
He was at Blues Fest just this year. Yeah, he was good. He was really good.
Yeah, and then it's such a unique voice. And Halloween, Three Musketeers. I always looked for them.
Really?
The top. Yeah, that was well. Any of the mini chocolate bars I didn't argue with, but anytime Three Musketeers, like if they held the bowl out and say, "Here, take your pick," and they were in there, I was getting them.
I was never. I mean, listen, chocolate's chocolate, and I love the chocolate the most. But the Three Musketeers never really thrilled me.
Yeah, well, whatever works. That's all. It's all good. I won't hold it against you. So.
Okay, fair enough.
And is there a theme for tomorrow's song requests?
Oh my gosh! See, I got to do a better job of this. Of course, because tomorrow's Halloween.
Okay, so what? Something scary or devils or?
Well, Greg, come on! I shouldn't have to hold your hand through this one. Let's go.
No, I don't need the Monster Mash. Something like that.
Well,
I'm thinking
I can guarantee you it's already been requested. It has to be a Halloween song, of course.
Halloween. Okay, well, maybe I'll stretch it a bit into something that we can, segue to it if you do it right. But okay, I'll give it some thought.
All right, Greg. Thanks, buddy. Right. Good to hear from you. Drive safe out there today. I'm so terrible at it. I mentioned it once. I got to do it every day. You would think I've been doing this ding dang job for 30 years, and I still fail spectacularly every day. I should remind you more often. Hey, our theme for all Request Fridays this week is, as you can imagine, it being October the 31st, we're going to do Halloween songs tomorrow. Ghostbusters comes to mind. Of course, Monster Mash has already been requested. How about Rockwell's Somebody's Watching Me, Michael Jackson's Thriller? I'm not trying to give you any ideas. These are the typical ones you would hear. But if there's another one that you know of that you would like to request, well then, gosh darn it, request it. All Request Friday tomorrow is Halloween songs on the show. Maybe there's even a horror movie theme song that's radio-friendly and recognizable. We could do that too. Jake, you're on Talkback. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah, I've been waiting for quite some time to get in on this anthem singing thing there. It drives me nuts with these anthem singers. They just can't sing it normal. They got to fiddle fart around and put their own connotation on it. It just drives me nuts. Anyway, I just wanted to hear it sung normally, and that's my rant for the day.
All right, Jake, appreciate your rant for the day. Sometimes it's that simple. You just need to get it off your chest and onto the air. You can do that. It's your Talkback Hour every day, noon until 1, here on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Winding down Talkback for another day, but still plenty of time for you to have your voice heard. Weigh in on the issues of the day or something that's important to you. We're more than happy to hear about it. 519-570-2545, star 570 by cell, or 1-800-570-5715. Steve, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mike. Quick comment on the anthems. I don't understand why they just simply don't do a canned version of it. Pick somebody who sings it well, play it at every game. That way you avoid the embarrassments of the Roseanne Barrs and the Fergies and never knowing what you're going to get. I think it's ridiculous. Just do a canned version of it. And secondly, on the game tomorrow with Yamamoto pitching, the Blue Jays have played all season making adjustments to whatever scenario they've been in and have been incredibly successful at it. I think they will have made the adjustments from Yamamoto based on Game 2, and I think they're going to hammer it tomorrow night.
I love that analysis, Steve. I feel exactly the same way, just because of the way this team has just gone out and taken care of business. It's funny that Steve brings up the idea of a canned anthem. You've got it on recording, and you just play it back before the game. One of my coworkers came into the studio during the last commercial break and said, do you remember any junior C hockey rink back in the 1970s? And you could hear the scratchy record being played. And they had a microphone up in that booth that they turned on and held down to the speaker on that turntable so you could hear it over the PA system in the arena. Obviously, it was a recorded version of the anthem. Not a bad idea by Steve to avoid any of the embarrassment that sometimes we end up with. Brenda, good afternoon. You're on Talkback.
Good afternoon. With regard to the singing of our Canadian anthem, I think it's disrespectful for them to change the wording of our anthem. In my opinion, I go for the anthem being sung at all sporting events properly and with respect, because they don't change the wording of the American anthem where they get booed off the field. And I'd like to hear Shania Twain sing our anthem. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Brenda. There's another suggestion that we heard several times yesterday as to who should sing the anthem before the Blue Jays game tomorrow night. Shania Twain, Burton Cummings, Jim Cuddy, Bryan Adams, Celine Dion, Geddy Lee. He was in L.A. last night, took a picture with Will Ferrell. I loved it. I loved it so much. But I'm still sticking with, I've said it multiple times, George Fox, simply because it was George Fox who sang before Game 6 in 1993. When was the last time the Blue Jays won the World Series? 1993. What game did they win it in? Game 6. I think that is exactly the kind of juju you want to have around the team. So somebody find George Fox and bring him back out to sing the anthem tomorrow night. To Brenda's point on the performance of the anthem and not taking it upon yourself to change the words. If I'm being honest with you, it doesn't fuss me a ton. if you change it to our home on native land, if that's your belief philosophy, if that's what you want to say, I'm not going to stop you from saying it. But in the bigger picture, I get where Brenda is coming from. And I wouldn't mind if you think it should be changed, if you think the words should be changed, then let's have the conversation. Let's, as a community, don't just take it upon yourself to make the change. If you feel that strongly about it, then let's go. Let's have the conversation, because the anthem has changed over the years, right? It's no longer in all thy sons command. It's in all of us command. From far and wide, God, I can't even remember it all off the top, the changes, but God keep our land from far and wide. All these different things have changed, however, moderately over the years, and they've changed because we have had the conversation about making that change. So rather than taking it upon yourself to publicly sing it differently than it is currently constructed, why don't you take it upon yourself to form the committee, start the petition, begin the conversation about making the change? I don't think that's too much to ask for, but just my 2 cents on that. Grant, you are on Talkback. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm going to do a shout out to the PSWs that within the last several years that have taken care of Mom here. And there's actually a PSW that you knew that was helping out Mom, but she didn't want to be announced when she was still doing it. But I'm going to announce her name now because she's no longer needing our help. Her name is Diane. She was the most incredible individual that just took that extra care for my mom. And if there's people out there that can take care of your elderly parents, I would recommend it. Even if you're going through some bumpy relationship, I would take it upon yourself. Thanks, Mike.
Hey, Grant.
Yes.
How you doing?
Yeah, we're hanging in there. I reached out to Walters to get some grief counseling and that stuff. So I'm waiting to hear back from them. And you know what? Just calling into this show and having my volunteer that I've told you throughout the years that have called me. So I call them, they call me, and then I call into this Christian station too that have a segment on Faith FM. So I've been calling them weekly just to get through it, right?
Good for you. I'm glad you're hanging in there. You let us know anytime what you need, okay?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Grant. In case you couldn't piece it together through Grant's talk about, using past tense for the PSWs that helped his mom, Grant lost his mom recently. And so obviously when we lose a parent, it can be challenging to say the very least. So he's reaching out in the ways that he can, which is great. And what a lovely story to hear about the PSW that went just that little bit above and beyond. And it's something that I've heard before. I can't say off the top of my head that I know specifically who the Diane was that was doing the work in supporting Grant and the family, but I'm glad they had that person going above and beyond. I'm sure that you have encountered somebody like that in your time and your interactions with our healthcare system at various levels. So it's good to know. And those folks should be celebrated because we tend to get caught up in the more difficult stuff and the challenges. And hey, if you've listened to this show for more than a minute, you know that Grant gets pretty fired up sometimes too. So it's easier to get fired up than it is to sing someone's praises like that. And especially in the moment that Grant and his family is going through. So good to hear. Love hearing those stories. And of course, we're happy to hear them anytime. I think I've been saying this to a number of people, and even Peter Wollstonecroft, when we talked to him on the show this morning about fixed election dates in Ontario and how this provincial government has decided to do away with the law that says we should have an election provincially every 4 years in the month of June. And Peter and I started just by talking a little bit about the Blue Jays. And I asked him what I've been talking to many people about this past week. I said, isn't it like there's just something different about our mood, about our days? I'm like, not to put any more pressure on the team. They're already playing the Goliath that is the Los Angeles Dodgers. But the Blue Jays have given us just such a welcome distraction, more than that, from challenging times, right? We've got a federal budget coming out next Tuesday, and believe you me, it is not going to be pretty. It is not going to be pretty. The finance minister was signaling yesterday about right-sizing the public service, and while I completely agree with that and making some necessary cuts in the amount of people working for the federal government, that's people that will lose jobs, that will no longer have an income. What does that look like? So these are, and let's not even talk about what the deficit number is going to be. My goodness, our grandchildren's children are still going to be paying for the mess that we made. But in spite of all of that, I feel like we're a little bit lighter these last many days, thanks to the Blue Jays. Game 6 is tomorrow. And I'm going to come back tomorrow. We're going to have some fun on the show. It's the Halloween show. Halloween requests for the music on the show. And I got some Rangers tickets to give away, too. So we're going to do that. We'll give trick or treat. You get the treat tomorrow. All right? I'll be back tomorrow morning at 9. I hope you'll join me then. My name is Mike Farwell. You are a force for good. Bye for now.